Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Harwich Mariners Baseball here at White House Field, as tonight the Mariners will play host to the Cotuit Kettleers in the second matchup between the two teams this season and the first one at White House Field. Hi again, everybody. Colin Casey alongside my broadcast partner Tyler Henry, and this game was scheduled to begin at 5:30, but now we've been moved to the start time that we've been more used to, at least at the start of the year, which is 6:30, as both managers finish up their meeting at the mound. But we are just a few minutes away from playing baseball. And Tyler, thank goodness we didn't have to deal with another rainout.
Yeah, and I mean at this point things are getting kind of ridiculous out here on the Cape, but it was interesting the way that things shook out. They were on the field ready to go. Everybody's getting warmed up, and then it's just the skies open and it starts pouring rain. So a little bit of a delay. They do a good job of getting the field ready and good to go. And baseball here in a little bit, God willing, but for the time being, it'll be the Cotuit Kettleers, as you mentioned. And oddly enough for Cotuit, they've only had 2 games since their last meeting with Harwich. That seems like forever ago to us, but for the Kettleers, the only 2 games they've had were losses, a 7-2 loss to YD and a 6-0 loss to Wareham. So you and I asked the question, who's going to slow down this offense? And I think the answer might have been the weather.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, weather definitely killing some of the momentum of a few of these teams having these long layoffs with all the rain that we've gotten over the last week or so. But the Cotuit Kettleers coming into this game with a 4-3-1 record that's good enough for second in the West. And at the bottom currently of the East are the Harwich Mariners. But they along with 3 other teams, have 4 wins. So a very tight Eastern division so far, Tyler. And with the way Brewster had that torrent pace with 6 wins in their last 7 games, it kind of creates a scenario where every single team is within at least 2 games of each other.
Yeah, and I mean, not only 6 wins in their last 7, but they also haven't lost a game during that 7-game stretch. The one that they didn't win, of course, being a tie 2 days ago. So everybody gets rained out yesterday, new action, but as you mentioned, new life for the Mariners as they find themselves really just 1 game behind when you look at the wins. The only difference and the reason that they're behind in points to Orleans, Chatham, and YD is the 1 tie that those teams have, but they come in with fewer losses as well, or 1 more loss, so an opportunity to really bounce back here at 500. We head to the anthem. When we come back, it'll be more pregame and the first pitch. All that right around the corner right here. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Harwich YouTube Network.
Welcome back once again to White House Field as the Mariners and the Kettleers face off once again. The Kettleers with a victory the last time these two teams played down in Cotuit, so the Mariners looking for some revenge here tonight. And let's take a look at the Kettleers lineup as they will bat first here in this one. And leading off is the second baseman Nick Gonzalez from New Mexico State. Coastal Carolina's Parker Chavers is in right field. He will bat second. Mason Dodd will bat third, playing first. Duke's Matthew Mervis will bat fourth and play third. The DH Araj Anu out of the University of Kentucky, and one of the hottest hitters in the league right now, will bat fifth. Shortstop Cam Williams out of the University of Texas will bat sixth. Center fielder Donta Williams will bat seventh out of Arizona. And another Texan as Duke Ellis from will play left field and bat eighth. And rounding out the order, batting ninth and catching from the University of Maine, Cody Pasick. And on the mound for the Harwich Mariners is Carson Seymour. Seymour went an inning and a third, not a whole lot because of the pitch limit that he was on. So he went an inning and a third and no decision victory, I should say. And Tyler, we'll see if Seymour will get some more action out here today.
Yeah, I get the feeling he will, and we talked about the reason that he's on that inning limit, of course, is he transferred from Dartmouth, did not play last year at Kansas State, and so an opportunity for him coming in here to get a few more reps, but for the time being, we'll see what he's got in store here, so he'll get a much longer leash here from Coach Englund, and of course, from the pitch limit as well.
All right, so leading things off is Nick Gonzalez. Comes into this game with a .217 batting average. 1 home run, 4 runs batted in. Pretty impressive, .471 on base percentage as the righty digs in. And the first pitch of the game from Seymour is in there for a strike.
Of Cotuit trying to get back on their feet. When they played Harwich last, they averaged 7 runs a game, but since then, just 2.
That one will just miss. 1-1.
Of course, they were shut out by Wareham, and then the 7-2 loss to YD. Those are the only 2 games that.
So Chavers with a .278 batting average coming in, a lefty. A lot of lefties in this Cotuit lineup as that pitch is in there for a strike. And up and down the roster, it seems like there's left-handed bats everywhere.
Well, we've seen that with Cotuit. We also saw a Wareham team the other day that didn't have a single right-handed hitter in the lineup. So definitely a lot of lefties out here on the Cape this season.
The 0-1 misses high to Chavers.
Yep, and of course Parker Chavers, one of the most decorated guys from Coastal Carolina as a freshman, won All-American honors, was also on the All-Tournament team. A couple other awards to add to his trophy case.
1-1 will just miss inside to Chavers. This Cotuit lineup, one of the best up and down, is in almost every offensive category. Cotuit's in the top 5 as that pitch is fouled down the left field line to even things at 2. They're 4th in hits, leading the league in home runs with 10, and then they're 3rd in runs batted in, walks, and batting average as a team.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that they've been able to maintain their lead on all those stat categories with a lot of games off, 4 rainouts in the last couple of weeks.
2-2 is fouled straight back by Chavers.
Of course, everybody's been having problems with the weather. Falmouth at one point hadn't played 4 games in a row. Bourne kind of adding on to that as well. Field conditions hindering their ability to play baseball. So, really, Brewster the only team coming into today with 10 games.
2-2 will just miss the outside corner. Seymour really wanted that call, but instead the count is full. First baseman Mason Dodd sitting on deck. Payoff pitch will miss up and in for ball 4, and so Chavers draws the walk with 1 away, and that'll bring up Dodd with a man on.
Yeah, but not a bad way to start the inning off here. Parker Chaver is able to reach base. Mason Dodd stepping in now, and one of the more dangerous hitters in this lineup, as you mentioned. His numbers looking pretty good from both a year ago and this season. Last year at Belmont Abbey, hit .313, 64 RBIs, and 15 home runs to add to that. So a dangerous power hitter here in the left-handed batter's box.
Seymour now delivering from the stretch. First pitch will miss high. 12 steals in the season for Cotuit, but none coming from Chavers. As the right fielder takes a 2.5-step lead off first. The 1-0. Waving at that one and missing is Dodd.
Yeah, pretty good job here of control early by Carson Seymour, moving it all around the strike zone and really not letting anybody settle into a rhythm here. Just through 2 batters, but doing a good job mixing speeds and locations here early on.
1 ball, 1 strike. And a breaking ball in there for strike 2. Looked like he gave him the curveball.
Yeah, we've seen him break out that big hook a couple of times. That was kind of his go-to strikeout pitch during his first appearance. So digging into the toolkit and finding that again. We'll see if he comes back to it or goes with a high fastball.
The 1-2. Breaking ball ripped into left field, but right at the left fielder, Chris Lanzilli, for out number 2. And so Dodd is retired.
Yep, not a bad start. So that'll bring up the ever-dangerous Matt Mervis hitting in the cleanup spot today. Mervis, another guy with plenty of power. Just 6 home runs a season ago, but that was good for third on the team.
Mervis, a recent addition, in large part due to Duke's long run in the NCAA baseball tournament. Check on the runner at first, Shavers.
Yep, and of course that benefiting both teams here today as the Harwich Mariners able to pick up Mike Rothenberg, who's not in the lineup today, but kind of started making things happen in that game against Wareham a few days ago.
And the first pitch to Mervis bends into the strike zone for a called strike one. Mervis, 1 for 6 in his short stay with with the Kettleers so far. Has an RBI and has also walked. Good enough for a .286 on-base percentage. The 0-1 misses upstairs.
Yeah, and again, this is kind of what we're used to seeing Seymour do. We saw it in the first game that he played in this season, really utilizing that fastball to set up his off-speed pitches later on. So we'll see him go rely on that more often here early. And then jump off it a bit.
Fastball in there for strike 2, 1-2. Rajanu on deck. He homered in the last meeting between these two teams off of Harwich reliever Blake Espinal. Runner going as the 1-2 is fouled off to the left.
Yep, and a little hit and run action here. Once again, something we've seen Cotuit do throughout a majority of their season. Trying to stay aggressive, and with 2 away here, why not?
One of Mervis's teammates at Duke on the Mariners, Mike Rothenberg, not in the lineup today. The switch hitting catcher, the 1-2. A one-hopper to short, a nice play, a long throw across the diamond is in time. And how about Hal Hughes in his first inning on defense with a sliding backhand stop and a long throw to get the runner Mervis at first to end the inning.
Yep, welcome to the Cape Cod League.
So no runs on no hits, no errors, and a runner left on due to the walk. After a half an inning, we're scoreless from White House Field. You're watching Mariners baseball on the Mariners TV network. And welcome back to White House Field as we enter the bottom of the first inning. The Harwich Mariners lineup will be facing off against Sean Sullivan, the right-hander from UC Berkeley. Went 2-1 with a 5.88 ERA and used mostly as a reliever as he picked up 4 saves with California.
Yep, and he'll have to face off against a couple of new bats here in the Mariners lineup, one of which made the play to end the first inning, and Hal Hughes, and the other will be hitting in the 5-hole. It'll be Daniel Cabrera. So a couple of new guys in there for the Mariners making their debuts today, and it'll be interesting to see how the offense clicks with a couple of new faces in the lineup.
And let's take a look at that Mariners lineup with Cam Thompson leading things off, the Kansas State Wildcat, I believe.
There you go. Yep.
Kansas State Wildcat playing center field, leading things off. Christian Fedko, probably arguably the best hitter on the Mariners right now. UConn second baseman will bat second. Tyler Keenan will play third. The Ole Miss Rebel will bat third as well. And in the cleanup spot is designated hitter Bobby Seymour out of Wake Forest. He'll bat fourth. Daniel Cabrera, the right fielder from LSU, making his debut and batting fifth. Nico Cavadas from Notre Dame will bat sixth and play first. Left fielder Chris Lanzilli will play left and bat seventh. Pat Winkle, the catcher from UConn, will bat eighth. And routing things off and also making his debut out of LSU, shortstop Hal Hughes.
Yep, so one of the guys not in the lineup is Joey Weimer, who's currently tied for 6th in the league in batting average, but he'll be on the bench and available tonight should they need him.
So Sullivan's first pitch is a strike to Cam Thompson. He's batting .095 on the season with an RBI. Also has a steal to his credit. Fastball will miss just outside.
Yeah, and right now really going with the experience route. Obviously a guy who was here in the Cape Cod Baseball League a season ago with the Harwich Mariners, so no stranger to it, and continues to find himself in the top of the order.
The 1-1 is popped up, foul down the third base side. The furthest Sullivan went this past spring as a pitcher for California was 3 innings, so we'll have to see how long he ends up going, making the start here. This off-speed pitch misses outside 2-2.
Well, and a lot of guys that want to develop themselves into starting pitchers. Take one of the examples. Last night's starter, or a few days ago starter, I should say, in Jacob Polish.
It's a high fly ball, pretty deep down the left field line, crossing into foul territory, and unable to make the play is Duke Ellis as it clanged off the left side fence. Count will remain at 2-2.
But yeah, guys like Polish, that they come into this league and they want to try to develop themselves out of the bullpen role and into a starting role, and that's kind of something this league is really good for. So we'll see if that's the route that Sean Sullivan wants to take, and whether they'll push him into deeper innings or whether he has kind of a shorter leash, knowing what he's done in the past.
2-2 from Sullivan is sent down the left field line once again. Could be a tough play, and it is, as it is dropped by what looked like the shortstop coming over to try to make that play, Cam Williams.
Yeah, so back-to-back tough plays they would have been, but a couple of missed opportunities, and we'll see whether Cam Thompson can make them pay for it. The guy is sitting in a bit of a slump right now, trying to break out of it.
Ball actually glanced off of Mervis's glove, the third baseman. And that's always the tough play for corner infielders to make, having to backpedal on a ball hit right over their heads in shallow left or right field. So the count remains 2-2 to Thompson. Sullivan delivers. Another pop-up foul that'll head towards our direction, out of play.
It took a skip up here by the box. That one bouncing to our left and kind of caught it a little bit up above the deck.
So a lengthy at-bat here for Thompson to lead off the bottom of the first. Something I'm sure that manager Steve Englert's really happy to see. As a 2-2 misses inside, given as there's an appeal down, but the third base umpire says he held up. But given the way we've seen a lot of strikeouts from this Mariners team, it's great to see him working the count early in this game.
Yeah, absolutely, and try not to go down in strikes here for a 10th time. Just the 2 walks so far, but very patient here.
3-2 will miss low and outside for ball 4. It's a leadoff walk for Thompson. Third time he's walked this season. And so the speedster will take first base with Christian Fedko hitting an astronomical .438 this season. He digs in.
Yeah, Fedko has just been absolutely on fire. And, he started a little bit slow through the first couple of games, but any doubts have been completely crushed. Getting on base at a rate of .550, slugging .750 this season. He has been all over the place, more walks than strikeouts as well. And he'll look to drive in a Mariners run here, or at least move the runner around with nobody out.
First pitch to Fedko, hit hard on the ground, foul, just past the third base bag.
Part of the reason Cam Thompson is, maybe not in the top of the order, but definitely still around and doing what he's doing best is his versatility. As today he's playing out in center field, but he's one of those guys that can play the outfield, he can play the infield. He did a little bit of pitching in high school, and, add to that the fact that he's a pretty quick guy. Put him in the top of the lineup as well.
The 0-1 will miss inside. Matt Mervis with his toes on the grass over at third base, maybe suspecting a bunt from Fedko. Meanwhile, over at first, it's Dodd holding the runner Thompson.
Yeah, which leaves a lot of space over there on the right side if Fedko can push one through.
Middle infielder's a double play depth, and there's a nice off-speed pitch having Fedko way out in front as he falls behind 1 and 2. Fedco out of UConn, his brother also in the CCBL with Bourne. 1-2, the runner going's in the dirt. The throw down is going to be late and low. And so that is the second steal of the season for Cam Thompson.
Yep, we talked about the speed that he had, wondered if they were going to go with a hit and run scenario there, and it may have been on, but the pitch low in the dirt, and that's a pretty good one to steal on all things considered. So with nobody away, it's a runner in scoring position here for the Mariners.
Some solid plate discipline there from Fedco to lay off the low pitch. So now he's got a 2-2 count. Gonzalez will bluff holding the runner over at second. The pitch will miss low once again, so the count is now full. And they are really driving up that pitch count for Sean Sullivan.
Yeah, and that's not a good thing for Sullivan, who, again, as you mentioned, is not used to going deep into games anyway. So may see him pulled after 2, maybe even 3 innings. But we'll see how much longer this goes on for.
Another full count pitch. And that one's in there for strike 3. Good location from Sullivan, and he catches Fedco looking for the first out.
Well, after using a couple of off-speed pitches that kind of fall off the table there at the end, goes with a fastball low and away, and Fedco, expecting it to break, just kind of holds off on it. But an excellent pitch and one away here for the Cavaliers of Cotuit.
So here's Tyler Keenan, who's coming off a great game back on Thursday night against Wareham in an abbreviated game. Had a home run and all 3 of the Mariners' runs batted in. And the first pitch to Keenan will just miss.
Yep, going back to the fastball there, and Keenan, as you mentioned, coming off a performance where he had an RBI double and then a home run as well. So after a bit of a slow start in his season premiere, getting off to a quick start and back-to-back ABs here.
He's now 2 for 6 in 2 games, and Sullivan will step off and gather his thoughts.
And the guy that just headed back to the dugout, Christian Fedco, would have had an RBI double as the scoreboard showed 4-1 in that game against Wareham and when all was said and done, but they actually wind the clock back to the beginning of the inning, so it ends up being a 3-1 win. Stepping off once again here is Sullivan. So Fedco will be robbed of an RBI, but the guy that will be grateful for that is William Fleming, who came in and had a bit of a tough outing. All of the damage done to him is erased.
1-0 misses outside. That game, of course, being called due to fog. There was a little bit of rain on Thursday night before the game, but mainly it was just a dense fog that was hovering around the field in Wareham from basically the first pitch on, and it just got worse as the game went on. Sullivan looks over at the runner, then throws, and swinging 2-0 is Keenan. He comes up empty, 2-1.
Yeah, Tyler Keenan, I mean, you've seen him take a big swing before, and that's a big part of the reason why he was able to drive one over the fence the other night. But, I mean, he just looks big up there at the plate. You look at his stance, just a tall guy, a lot of weight to him, able to swing the bat pretty good.
Thompson, the runner on second, 2-1 count, 1 away in a scoreless first inning. The pitch misses low, so now Keenan with a big-time hitter's count, 3-1. With first base open, you wonder if Sullivan might try to nibble the corner here and not give him anything to hit. He comes set. He deals. And there's a ground ball to the right side of the infield, backhanded by Dodd. He flips to Sullivan covering to get the out. Meanwhile, Thompson will move up to third, so now a man just 90 feet away from home as the Mariners' first run with 2 away and cleanup hitter Bobby Seymour batting.
Yep, it's a productive out, and that'll bring Bobby Seymour up to the dish, who it's been a bit of a struggle here in the early goings, which is strange considering how well he played in ACC play and just in general back in 2019. Mentioned he was voted the ACC Player of the Year this season, and look at the stat line. 377 hitter, 437 on base, an OPS over 1, 9 home runs, and 92 RBIs.
From the windup, Sullivan's first pitch will miss high. Seymour's day is actually numbered as he will be joining Team USA within the next week.
Yep, planning on leaving here in 4 days, if I'm not mistaken. June 26th, the day him and Logan Allen will depart.
And that one's in there for a strike, 1-1. And, of course, Allen, far and away the best pitcher for the Mariners this season, at least starting pitcher, going a couple of shutout appearances.
Well, far and away the best pitcher, period. I mean, he still holds a 3 strikeout lead over second place a 4 strikeout lead over second place in the standings. So
11 shutout innings, and there's a fly ball down the left field line, and able to make the running catch is Duke Ellis to retire the side. So the Mariners get a leadoff man on with a walk, but can't do anything with it after one from White House Field. It is Cotuit 0, Mariners 0. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball here on YouTube Live. So Carson Seymour heading back out for the Mariners as we enter the top of the second inning from White House Field. Seymour, of course, only ended up going an inning and a third in his last start. We'll look to see if he can extend that leash in start number 2.
yep, and again, the longevity, one of the things that not really too much in question over what he's done through the whole entirety of his career, but on that inning limit early on and having not played in 2019 for the Wildcats.
Arajanu will lead things off for Cotuit. First pitch he sees, it's a chopper to second. Gloving it easily is Fedko. Throw on to first, and it's 1 pitch, 1 out. Start the second for Seymour.
Yep, the efficiency continues for Carson Seymour. That was another thing that we really liked in his debut. Able to work through hitters relatively quickly. So he'll face off now against Cameron Williams.
Williams hitting a .167. University of Texas product with a homer and 2 runs batted in so far. And the first pitch is just off the outside part of the plate, 1-0.
Yeah, Williams had an opportunity to be a Mariner, not a Harwich Mariner, but a Seattle Mariner drafted back in 2016 in the 39th round. So he'll foul one back to the screen here, and I mean, why not? Look at his family. His father, Reggie, played 3 seasons with the Angels and 1 with the Dodgers, and all of his older brothers currently in minor league systems, the Cardinals, the Twins, and the Royals.
Quite the baseball pedigree in that family. There's another chopper towards second. Fedko able to cleanly make the play, and so after 4 pitches, 2 away here in the second, and Seymour looking really good in terms of efficiency, and he's already surpassed the distance he went in his first start.
Yep, and that'll bring up Dante Williams, a guy who, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't in the lineup the first time these two met. So from Williams to Williams, see a new bat in the lineup here for the Kettleers.
Williams from the University of Arizona, 2 for 11 on the season. One of those hits being a long ball. And the first pitch he sees from Seymour will miss down and in.
Yep, Williams this year hitting just 182, but definitely a lot of explosive potential out of him, trying to get things back on track here, hitting from the left side.
1-0 is a backdoor breaking ball that misses just off the plate. We had some torrential downpours roll through the area and lasting for about 20 minutes right after 5 p.m. That caused us to move this game back about an hour, as that's a strike on the outside corner. All things considered, field looking pretty good. Solid job by the Harwich Mariners coaching staff to get the field in playable condition. 2-1 misses down and in, so Williams trying to become a 2-out base runner here in the top of the second. Seymour from the windup still looking for that 1-2-3 inning, and it's fouled off, so the count is now full.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I mean, everybody from the Mariners out there taking a little infield, outfield, and we see this giant flash of light and a big clap of thunder. Everybody had to run for cover. So heading back to the dugouts and some of the shipping crates out here at White House Field, just trying to take refuge from the rain.
Weather affecting all sorts of action up and down Cape Cod Baseball League. Here's the payoff pitch with 2 away. And it's another chopper up the middle. Going to be played by Keenan. The long throw across the diamond's in time as Tyler Keenan continues to be impressive over at the third base spot. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Carson Seymour. So after 1.5, we're scoreless from White House Field. You're watching Mariners Baseball on YouTube Live. Bottom of the second here from White House Field, as it'll be the 5, 6, and 7 hitters due up for the Mariners, including the debut of Daniel Cabrera, who will bat fifth, lead things off here in the bottom of the second. Right fielder from LSU.
Yep, a couple of LSU guys making their debuts. Daniel Cabrera, and further down the line it'll be Hal Hughes. But Cabrera, a guy that back in 2017 drafted by the San Diego Padres, and he actually spent last season with Team USA. Will not be spending this year there, but able to get some valuable experience on the U.S. collegiate team just a season ago.
So Cabrera, the left-handed hitter, will dig in and face Sean Sullivan. Sullivan's first pitch misses outside for ball 1.
Yep, Cabrera last season through 57 games at 260 or 286, 360 on base.
That one will miss low, 2-0.
Added on 12 home runs to that as well, so a lot of good power numbers for the lefty.
There's a swing and a drive out towards center. The wind knocking it down a bit, and making the catch is Donta Williams for out number 1.
So that'll put the end to that and bring up Nico Cavadas, who's been having a pretty decent summer himself so far.
Skies have begun to darken again, but thankfully no thunder this time, so hopefully just overcast skies.
Yep, and the wind's starting to blow in a little bit right now. This one's fouled away. Colin, you mentioned on that last fly ball, wind kind of just stopped it, so hopefully the rain is done, but the clouds definitely look threatening right now.
Sullivan from the windup, the 0-1. That misses low. The count is now 1-1.
Everybody out here just trying to play some baseball. One team that's unable to do that is the Bourne Braves, as they've had yet another game canceled due to weather field conditions.
Cavadas rips one up the middle for a base hit. And there's your first hit of the ball game, as Cavadas, who had been struggling a little bit at the plate, able to get a one-out single here in the bottom of the second.
Yeah, and he's been doing a pretty good job just trying to locate his hits, but finally able to push one in a gap and find his way on base.
So with 1 on and 1 away, it'll be Chris Lanzilli from Wake Forest. Right-hander hitting 143 on the season. Sullivan's first offering is chopped up the middle. This could be 2. A flip to second for 1 on to Dodd in time, and that will retire the side. It's a 6-4-3 double play, and so through 2 innings from White House Field, A quick moving game so far, as it is 0-0 after 2. You are watching Harwich Mariners on the Harwich Mariners TV network. Lights come on here at White House Field as we have some extreme overcast skies darkening things here in Harwich. And after 2 innings, it is 0-0. And we hope that these are just overcast skies and not rain clouds.
Yeah, and it came in pretty quickly. I mean, things were sunny and everything was good to go when we started here, and very quickly, as you mentioned, the lights needing to be turned on and the wind kind of blowing in a little bit.
So far, Seymour has faced 7 batters, retiring 6 of them. And the first pitch he offers to Duke Ellis is fouled off to the left. Ellis from the University of Texas, 286 batting average on the season. Has a stolen base as well. He's only appeared in a couple of games. The 0-1 will miss outside.
Yep, so Ellis trying to get things started here as we head to the visitors' third. It'll be 8-9-1. Carson Seymour looking to continue cruising through hitters.
And that one will glance off of Ellis' bat, foul. So Seymour once again ahead in the count 1-2, and it seems like he's been very aggressive attacking these Cotuit hitters. A very talented lineup up and down the order. There's a fly ball down the left field line, slicing, and it will fall foul in the bullpen area for the Harwich Mariners.
One thing, Colin, I think that has gone a little bit understated is the new guys on defense. We've talked about it a little bit, but between Hal Hughes, Tyler Keenan, and then you can move Christian Fedko over to second, that might be one of the better defensive infields in the league this year.
Mariners are tied for first in defense this year, only committing 6 errors and a .979 fielding percentage. The 1-2. Curveball a miss upstairs. Cotuit, conversely, 8th in the league in fielding percentage with a .962. They've committed 11 errors this season, as now the count is full to Duke Ellis, 3-2.
Yeah, but a big at-bat coming up here. We've seen what Cotuit can do when they're able to get runners on base early in innings. Trying to avoid that here.
3-2 pitch is fouled straight back into the netting. So Ellis working the count here in this at-bat. He batted 9th the last time these two teams played. And the 3-2 pitch is swung on and missed for strike 3. So Ellis striking out swinging. The second strikeout for Seymour. And there's one away.
Yep, and continuing just to pound the strike zone. That's what these Harwich pitchers have done an excellent job of all season long. And trying to continue that theme here as we head to the bottom of the order. It'll be Cody Pasek digging in, another lefty.
First pitch to Pasek. Ripped foul down the left field line.
I was going to say, some of these teams that have all these lefties in the lineup, and you look at it whenever you're going up against a right-handed pitcher, and you're like, oh, this is great, but kind of flips on you when you have to pitch somebody else.
chopper. Seymour will play it himself on the mound and throw across to first base to Cavadas is in time. So 2 up, 2 down to start the third inning for the Mariners.
Yep, and again, working very quickly here is Carson Seymour. Not really seeing that pitch count suffer a whole lot.
So Pasek retired on just 2 pitches. And so Gonzalez will step in as he struck out looking to lead things off in the top of the first. And the first pitch will just miss as Gonzalez went 0 for 3 with a walk last time these two teams played. He was in the 2-hole in that one, playing his normal position of second base. From the windup, Seymour delivering, and that pitch is sent down the right field line foul to even the count.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we've seen an awful lot of this season. Guys coming in 2, 3, sometimes 4 games later and being in a drastically different place in the lineup than what we saw early on in the season.
Seymour with the 1-1, and it hits him. So Gonzalez hit by the pitch with 2 away, and so now Cotuit trying to make things interesting here in the top of the third with Parker Chavers digging in, who walked and was the only Kettleers base runner up to this point.
I was going to say, so far the only 2 guys that have been put on base have been put there by Carson Seymour, so yet to earn a hit in this game, but still trying to make the most of that, as you mentioned. 2 away here in the visitors' third.
So Shavers hitting .278 on the season. That's a quick pickoff and a check on the speedy Nick Gonzalez. Shavers a threat for power with a home run and 3 doubles on the season. He's scored 5 times as he lays off a fastball up.
Well, and you mentioned the speed, already 3 stolen bases for him this season. Looking to maybe swipe another one here and get a man in scoring position here.
.1-0 will miss upstairs again. That seems like where Seymour's been missing in this one is high in the strike zone.
Well, you got to be careful if you're going to miss with a fastball up. That's a risky proposition, especially to anybody who has good home run numbers. Parker Chavers being among them a season ago.
6 of the 9 hitters in the lineup have home runs for Cotuit, as that pitch will miss, so falling behind now 3-0 is Seymour.
And he looked pretty comfortable out of the stretch back in the first inning after walking Parker Chavers early on, as now looks like Coach Jeff Neiman will come out and have a word with his guy, but again, maybe a pitch limit, maybe not today for Carson Seymour.
Not really much happening right now in the Mariners' bullpen at the moment. That could change, though, if things unravel here in the third inning.
Yep, and plenty of guys that are available. That's one thing we do know about this Harwich team. That bullpen is awfully deep. I mean, they've been able to go as many guys as what they've needed. Everybody has performed so far.
Yeah, the great thing about having that 30-man roster is you can really put a lot of guys in the bullpen. The Mariners right now with 10 guys in their pen. So as play resumes, it's a 3-0 count to Shavers. And that fastball's in there, so count now moves to 3-1.
And hopefully this stays out in Orleans, but it looks like at Stony Brook Field, a lightning delay right now between the Orleans Firebirds and the Whitecaps.
And the pitch will miss just low, and so now back-to-back batters reaching base, and that'll bring up the heart of the order, Mason Dodd. Will now bat with 2 on and 2 away.
Yep, and a little 2-out rally here for the Kettleers.
So here's Dodd with a homer and 5 runs batted in on the season. He's got a .370 on-base percentage. Seymour from the stretch. His first pitch is swung on and fouled straight back.
Sure, Seymour would love to find a way to get out of this with a strikeout maybe, and as you mentioned, that an arm up and working in the pen right now for the Harwich Mariners. See whether or not his services are needed, but for the time being, Carson Seymour going to be left out there to work through this on his own.
0-1 the count. Now a breaking ball to Dodd finds the strike zone. Dodd from Augusta, Georgia, of course, well known for Augusta National Golf Course, which annually hosts the Masters tournament, last won by Tiger Woods. The 0-2, ripped foul down the left field line.
A lot of people didn't ever think he'd win another major again, but able to bounce back, and what a story that turned into.
Was in that final day pairing, or final day trio due to weather, with Francisco Molinari and Tony Finau. Molinari with a pretty comfortable lead coming to that round, but unable to finish the job. The 0-2 count now to Dodd. As raindrops falling once again, ball is foul tipped past the first base dugout.
Yeah, this is what Carson Seymour needed to do. He did a good job getting ahead here 0-2 to start the count, and he can kind of play with him from there. You see him mixing a little bit of off speed in here, trying to keep the hitter off balance. That's what he's going to have to continue to do. Can't afford to fall behind early, or you get yourself into a little bit of a bind, and it's part of the reason why he's got two guys on base right now.
Gonzalez on second, Shavers on first. 0-2 count with two away, and once again, Dodd able to foul the pitch off.
Yep, and some fans starting to move out of the way of the rain. Take a little bit of cover here as sprinkles start to come down.
And we got some lightning again, so that's going to send both teams to the dugout. And so with that, we're going to have another delay here due to the lightning. So for now, with an 0-2 count and 2 outs in the top of the third, it is scoreless here from Harwich, as Cotuit and Harwich at 0-0. And we're going to step away here for a little bit with this delay. Stay tuned for updates. Be sure to check our social media accounts on Facebook and Twitter to see what is happening here in Harwich. But for now, we have a delay. And after almost 2.5 innings, it is scoreless from White House Field. And we'll bring you updates as soon as we get them. You've been listening and watching Harwich Mariners Baseball on YouTube Live.
Hello, everybody, and if you are still tuned into this game, we apologize for the delay, as weather not very permitting today for baseball. Everybody,
Today.
well,
This week.
every day. Yeah, this has been tough. I'm Tyler Henry, as always, and I'm joined here by Alex Weiner, one of our team writers slash photographers slash social media gurus slash about everything else.
Backup PA announcer.
Backup PA announcer. His services being called on here, and going to give you a little bit of a kind of a podcast, kind of a something else here as we're in a delay.
A radio show.
Yeah, a little radio show, and just talk some Harwich Mariners baseball. So, Alex, I mean, you've been able to see everything from the field perspective. You've been down there with the team quite a bit, and, you know, the general sense is that everybody's disappointed in the weather right now. Things are just kind of frustration is just kind of mounting a little bit, and I think that's really kind of carried over into the way certain teams have been playing, one of which is this team in Cotuit, who, again, have only been able to play 2 games since they met with the Mariners about a week ago.
Yeah, I know, and certainly with different players coming in and out, you want to get them as many at-bats and as many reps with each other as possible, and this weather's made it impossible to do that. I mean, look at Bourne. They haven't played 4 straight games. I think
4 straight games. I believe this is number 5.
So, yeah, I mean, Harwich at least, they got 5 innings and like 1 out into a game a couple days ago at Wareham. Yesterday's game was rained out, but you know, it's just tough. I mean, at least they got to start today, but I mean, who knows if we're going to continue. It's raining. It's kind of calming down a little bit, but you know, we'll see whether or not they'll be able to use this field or not.
Well, of course, the mandatory 30-minute lightning delay dictates that no matter how much rain we have on the field, we'll be sitting here on the delay for a while. So you mentioned all those guys that get brought in and brought out, and obviously that's a part of the Cape season every single year.
Yeah.
A lot of guys have been released. A lot of new guys have come in, and let me just kind of get your take on what has been your first impression of some of the newer guys. Obviously, you had Jacob Polish yesterday pitch pretty much a gem with the conditions that he had to face.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you got Hal Hughes making a couple good defensive starts. Tyler Keenan hits a bomb in his first game. Who are the big standouts to you of the new guys that have just come in?
Well, certainly Daniel Cabrera, who just came in, is making his debut today from LSU. Was probably the big bat that they really needed in this lineup. And you know, his first at bat, he drove that ball. I mean, it was caught in left center field, but it was good contact, good swing, good timing on it. So he'll definitely be very important. Tyler Keenan has already shown his worth with a big day at the plate at Wareham, as well as defensively he's made a couple of nice plays, and every time he throws the ball it seems so casual, even when he's like on it, you know. So he's been pretty fun to watch as well. So those will be big ones. And Hal Hughes' defense, his coach mentioned just that he'll be dynamite at shortstop, and so far he's looked pretty good, although it's only been a few innings.
Well, yeah, no, he had to make the one play ranging off to his left and throw across the diamond. And I told Colin at that point, I said, with Keenan at third and Hughes at short, and then you move Fedko over to second, that might be one of the better defensive infields in the league. I mean, all things considered, that's going to be pretty solid. The other big thing that's been there for Harwich all season long has been the pitching. Obviously, we're still early into the season, but so far, every single guy that is on the roster has pitched. They all have at least one strikeout.
Yeah.
I mean, they have been just tearing through guys. How important is it for a team, especially in a league like the Cape League, where you never know how long your starter is going to go, to have a deep bullpen like the Mariners do?
That's everything. You know, it's vital, and it's proven how vital it was. We saw it last week in the doubleheader against Falmouth. You know, the game 1, Logan Allen went pretty far into the game, and they put in Joe Boyle to close it out. Game 2, Carson Seymour started, and on his pitch count, he did not go very far into the game, but they were able to rely on, I believe, Evan Shaver and Will Heflin to go into the game and just continue to get outs and put up, you know, good innings. So, you know, it's going to be very, very important. They just got Jordan Butler from Florida has joined the team. He's not currently on the active roster yet, but that'll be coming up in the next couple days. And obviously they're waiting on Bryce Bonin from Texas Tech. So, I mean, they'll only get better from here.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the guys that you mentioned, Joe Boyle, he is a guy that whenever he comes to the pitch, the scouts all crowd around the gun. We know he can throw 98. He's got the changeup to go with it. And you wrote a piece on him a little while ago. Tell us a little bit more about this kid, aside from just the simple fundamentals that you get to see day in and day out in the game.
Well, he is massive. He throws the ball very hard, and you know, he's had some real command issues leading up to his time here at Notre Dame, as well as last summer he played for Cotuit for I think 5 full innings, 7 outings, and it just did not go particularly great. And that's been a real sort of focus point for him, is getting the extra reps, conditioning his arm, and really finding his own sort of a rhythm day in and day out, so that, you know, even when he's playing catch, every throw is on the money. When he's in the bullpen, trying to get every throw where he's trying to locate it. So, you know, if he continues to get that repetition here, especially where, he's in an environment where you don't have to worry about school or don't have to worry about certain play time because he's on his like permanent or whole summer contract. So I think now that he's really just focusing on himself and what to do for next year, I think that's been really beneficial.
Yeah, and for Boyle, already 2 saves this season, as you mentioned. Take a look at the standings in the Cape Cod Baseball League right now, and the one team everybody is kind of pointing to is the Brewster Whitecaps. They haven't lost a game in their last 7. They have 1 tie in there, 6 wins, and they started the season off 0-3. They currently sit atop the East. The rest of the East shakes out like this. YD's coming in at 4-2-1, Chatham at 4-3-1, Orleans at 4-4-1, and then Harwich at 4-5. And Harwich could have been further back. They could have been a little bit further behind, but they fought through that game 2 days ago in the fog at Wareham.
Yep.
They were able to come out with a victory. How big do you think that is in terms of just kind of tipping the momentum back in the Mariners' favor and getting back into the fight here? Because, I mean, let's be honest, if they lose that game or if they don't play that game, they're sitting 2 to 3 games back in the East right now. That can be a little bit degrading. It is early on in the season, but
Yeah,
you
I
don't
was
want to
about
fall
to
too
say.
far behind and just kind of, feel like you're trailing like what Hyannis is doing right now. Obviously,
Yes,
you
but
don't wanna do that.
there's a difference. I
There
mean,
is a
obviously, you
difference.
don't want to be falling back by 5 games like this early on in the season, but I mean, if you're down 2 or 3, there's ways to bounce back. There's still plenty of games that they play against Brewster, but obviously winning against Wareham, the defending champions, and especially on the road in a game that it was kind of uncomfortable, it was sticky out, it wasn't good baseball weather, they're able to kind of muscle that out. Obviously, that helps your confidence going forward, and so far the pitching's been pretty decent in today's game, but obviously we have to wait for the bats to wake up if we indeed get underway again.
Sure, and the one big thing with the momentum, too, I mentioned the Hyannis team that currently is 0-7-1.
That's
That
tough.
game has actually been canceled for them today. They will not play. So tomorrow it'll be a doubleheader on the road at Hyannis, weather permitting.
Who has
which
played
is
the
always
least amount of games?
least
this
amount
season?
of games so far? It's Bourne.
Yeah,
Bourne,
I would imagine
coming
so.
into today, had only played in 7 baseball games.
That's really rough.
I mean, granted, they're only 3 behind the leaders in Brewster, who came in today having played 10 games, but still, the field conditions there have not helped. And you got to wonder, let's go into that for a minute. At what point, I get that it's a 44-game season, you only get 22 home games, but
Right.
at what point do you just have to start playing some of these games on the road just to get the season underway? Because, yes, everybody's had rain delays, but for Bourne, it hasn't always been the weather, it's been the field conditions because of the drainage issues that they've had out there. I mean, do you think we get to a point in the season where they say, all right, look, we get that you guys should have 22 home games, but you might have to start playing some of these on the road?
No, because, I mean, when July comes, it's supposed to be a lot drier than it is right now, and I think that a lot of those makeup games, they're just going to have a lot of games piled on each
Sure.
other every day. It's going to be tough to be in and out every single game.
Is it going to be doubleheader season
Every
for
day.
them, like
It'll be-
every other day?
There'll be a few of those. There'll be some, all their off days are probably gone. So that's just what it is. I mean, I don't think you can take a team's home games away. That's not fair to the
Yeah.
team itself, because home games are how they sell their merchandise, how they sell food, how they sell raffle tickets. That's how they make money, and that's so vital to keeping these teams upright. So you can't really take a team's home games away. They're too important.
Sure. Speaking of doubleheaders, we mentioned the one that Harwich will have on the road tomorrow at Hyannis. They'll have a day off on Monday, and then another doubleheader. That one will be played at YD, the
Yep.
makeup game from a couple days ago. So 4 games in the span of 3 days, Alex. And, you have Bobby Seymour, and you also have Logan Allen for that time. Get the feeling we'll see them used pretty heavily in those 4 games, at
Yes.
least for Seymour, of course, and then for Allen, at least one more start before he departs for Team USA.
He's starting one of the 2 games on Sunday at Hyannis.
So tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes. But we'll see if Butler gets activated. He'll certainly be activated by that second doubleheader. He might be by tomorrow. So I mean, we'll probably get to see his debut upcoming in the next couple of days. You'll certainly see the elongated outings from certain bullpen guys who have looked pretty good, like maybe Nick Zwack or Cam Bauman, or someone else will probably get elongated innings, even if they've only had a few so far this season.
Sure, and that brings up another point with the departure of Logan Allen, and obviously this is pure speculation on our part, but what would you say your projected starting rotation for this team might be with Logan Allen out of the picture? And of course, we haven't seen the 2 guys coming in
Right.
Caden O'Brien, or as you mentioned,
That's
coming
right.
in
Jordan Butler.
Jordan Butler. So 2 guys that we have yet to see. But based on what you've seen right now, let's say those 2 guys are not coming. What would the rotation that you would put out there be, a 4-man rotation for this team at this point in the season, just based on what you've seen?
A four-man rotation, so not including Butler or O'Brien?
So not
or
including Butler or O'Brien, as of right now, if you had to pick a four-man rotation, that's why I'm shortening it up to
with
four.
with Allen too, or without
Without
Allen?
Allen.
Okay.
So no Allen. You've got to put together four guys
Okay.
to go in a rotation based on what you've seen in this part of the season.
Well, you have to pick a Seckler would probably be your number one.
Absolutely, I agree.
Polish would have to be two probably.
Okay.
I would say Buddy Hayward 3. Well, I mean, we'll see. He is on. He's a temp, correct? On a temporary
I
contract?
believe, yes, Buddy Hayward, I think, is on a temporary contract.
And then, I mean, Carson Seymour has looked pretty good. So if you get him for 3 innings, which was the plan for today, and he got through 2 and 2/3 scoreless, and then you just ride out another guy for 3 innings, like a Will Heflin, who I believe is warming up in the bullpen, or someone else, then I think that could certainly work as well.
Sure, I think the one guy that's impressed me the most, and again, it'll be interesting to see how they decide to use him, but Cam Bauman has looked awfully good through 2 appearances.
He could be one.
2 appearances so far. He's thrown 3 complete innings, and granted, that's not a starter sample size, but 5 strikeouts, no walks, has yet to give up an earned run.
No, he's looked good.
And he's been able to kind of eat up the innings when they've needed it to. I mean, again, there are a lot of different guys that could go in those spots. Nick's Walk, one of the other ones that you mentioned, he got his first outing a while ago, and they were planning on using him as a starter in one of the games. He ends up coming in relief. But, of course, all of that speculation, and again, Caden O'Brien and Jordan Butler, one of those two will probably take over in one of those starting roles. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how things are going forward. But at the end of the day, the big thing that sucks for Harwich is you're probably losing the best pitcher in the Cape Cod Baseball League right now in Logan Allen. I mean,
he has been.
17 strikeouts through, I believe he's thrown, 11 innings so far this season?
11 innings, 17 strikeouts, only 4 hits.
And no runs. I mean, he has yet to give up a single run. So he'll be departing for Team USA, and if you didn't hear earlier, Bobby Seymour will also be leaving for Team USA. But Connor Seckler will be sticking around, and that'll be a big boost to this team. So we're going to step away really quickly, may come back, and of course the weather hopefully will come back and allow us to play some more baseball. Thank you again for tuning into the Harwich Mariners broadcast/podcast here as we work through the weather delay here from White House
We're
Field.
broadcasting right now.
We are broadcasting right now. So the live broadcast, I'd like to say thank you once again for tuning in. We will be back with baseball and maybe a little bit more Mariners talk right after this. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
And finally, welcome back to White House Field as the Mariners and Cotuit Kettleers are ready to resume play after a lengthy delay due to lightning and other weather conditions. It was Carson Seymour who started this game for the Mariners, but with an 0-2 count, 2 on, 2 outs, and Bill Heflin taking over. Heflin pitched 2 scoreless innings a couple of days ago. That's been his only action today. That was against Falmouth in one of the games in that doubleheader. So, Tyler, we are finally ready to get back to baseball, and we're actually the only two teams left right now that are able to play.
I was about to say, everybody got picked off one by the weather delay. As favorable spot here, 2 runners on base, but he gets to come in with an 0-2 count that he will inherit courtesy of Carson Seymour, who, of course, just kind of sat for too long. Don't want him going back out there. So Heflin, the big lefty, will come in here and try to close out the visitors' half of the third.
This inning started out with Seymour in the top of the third. Duke Ellis, Seymour struck out Duke Ellis, then followed that up with a ground out to the pitcher from Cody Pasek. Then he hit Nick Gonzalez with 2 away, and then Parker Chavers was walked, and that's where we stand now with an 0-2 count to Mason Dodd, who digs back in for the first time in about 50 minutes. Heflin, the 0-2. Misses in the dirt. Good stop behind the plate there from Winkle.
And it's got to be weird. I mean, again, you go back to the dugout, you stop for about an hour, you come back, and you still have 2 strikes on you, and you're facing off against a new pitcher. I mean, this is a very abnormal circumstance, so for Will Heflin, I mean, it's a good advantage. He can throw pretty much whatever he wants, and he's got a couple of pitches to waste here.
Lefty against lefty, Heflin. Mervis on deck for the Kettleers. The 3-2 pitch misses low, so now the bases have been walked, or the bases have been loaded via that walk, and so Matthew Mervis will get a chance to put Cotuit on the board here and give them an early lead here in the top of the third.
Yeah, and this could be huge. Obviously, Mervis today 0 for 1, but a big capable hitter coming in from the left-hand side, and Heflin looking struggling a little bit here with his command, with a 4-pitch walk to start things off.
Still no hits in the game for Cotuit. The first pitch misses low and outside, and that's where Heflin's been missing. That's 5 straight balls now to kick off his appearance.
Not the typical circumstance for Will Heflin either, as this basically feels like starting a game. Had plenty of time to prepare and get ready to go, but then he comes in pitching from the stretch with runners on base.
1-0 is in there at the knees, and he finally is able to find the strike zone.
Still keeping everything on the outer half, though, and it seems like that's really where Heflin's like to work this season. Keeping it away from the hitter and finally able to bring it back into the zone here to even the count at 1-1.
1 ball, 1 strike. Another off-speed pitch, and he's having trouble getting that one to the plate as it'll miss low once again to put the count at 2-1. We'll have to see who Cotuit sends out in the bottom half of the inning after Sean Sullivan going the first 2 innings, but he did sit for a while, so wouldn't be too surprised if we saw a new pitcher. The 2-1. Fouled straight back, and the count's even once again.
Yep, Heflin trying to keep the ERA of both him and Carson Seymour at that flat 0 line right now. Neither one has given up a run so far, and of course the runner on third and the runner on second would both be charged to Carson Seymour.
The hitter Mervis grounded out to short back in the first inning. The 2-2. Misses outside. The ball gets away from Winkle. He's not sure where it is.
And I'm not sure why you didn't see Nick Gonzalez take off from third there, as Winkle couldn't locate the ball. It didn't go that far away, but really kind of surprised he didn't even make an effort to move home there, as the guy that came to collect the ball had to be Heflin off the hill. And I mean, Harwich will take it. It's a full count here, but Will Heflin is 1 pitch away from either ending this inning one way or another or giving up a run.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Matthew Mervis. Araj Anu, the designated hitter, on deck. Here's the payoff pitch, and the pitch misses low for ball 4. So that is 3 consecutive walks and 4 consecutive base runners that have gotten on, not by a hit, but by either a walk or a hit by pitch. And that plates a run, so now Cotuit with a 1-0 lead.
I was going to say, Cotuit has the bases loaded, as Jeff Neiman will come out and have a word with Will Heflin out there on the bump. But the bases are loaded. They have a run scored, and they still don't have a hit yet in this game. I mean, again, you've just given two guys free passes, and I mean, again, the thing that you and I both talked about was this is not a typical situation, especially for Will Heflin, who, again, kind of prepared as if this was a start. He had to go out and get his bullpen while nobody else was on the field. There was no action taking place, and then comes into the game in a mid-game situation. But he has struggled with command here in the early goings, and that's a part of the reason why Cotuit holds a 1-0 lead here.
So Anu digs in. He batted from the left side back in the second inning. Ended up grounding out to second on one pitch. He did homer the last time these two teams played. In the first pitch, misses low as Heflin's still trying to get that ball up in the zone.
Yep, misses low and also misses outside. So continuing to keep things away from the hitters. And, I mean, he knows better than anybody else that Anu was able to homer off of the Mariners in a 7-5 win for Cotuit earlier this season.
The 1-0, a big cut by Anu, but he can't come up with it. 1-1, and that home run did come against a lefty. So it was Blake Espinal surrendering that ball. It was a mammoth home run to left center. Heflin with the 1-1. Low in the dirt.
Tried to go with the changeup there on back-to-back pitches after he pulled the string completely out from under Anu on the first one, and then just misses low with the second.
Heflin from the stretch again. And that'll be outside, so he's in danger of walking his third consecutive batter and bringing in a second run this inning.
Yeah, still nobody up in the Harwich pen, but I mean, you got to think he does not put this pitch in the zone. I feel like somebody's gonna get up in there awfully quickly.
3-1. That one catches the inside part of the plate to fill the count.
And Anu completely left the bat on the shoulder there. No interest in swinging at that pitch, no matter what it was. He was going to make Heflin earn his respect. He's done just that, and now the bat will come off the shoulder. We'll see what Anu has in store.
Heflin with a 3-2 count for the third time this inning. And he gets Anu to swing and miss to finally end the inning. But after 4 consecutive base runners with 2 away in the top of the third, the Cotuit Kettleers take a 1-0 lead over the Harwich Mariners. As we are through 2.5 at White House Field, it is Cotuit 1, Harwich 0. You are watching Harwich Mariners baseball on YouTube TV. New pitcher set to take over now, as it'll be the right-hander, Joseph Nahas. And that'll close the book on Sean Sullivan, not coming out after the lengthy delay. As Sullivan goes 2 innings, allowing 1 hit, walked 1, and also struck out a batter. So, pretty uneventful for Sullivan, but no damage done by the Mariners lineup against him.
Yep, and so Nahas will take over, and again, new pitchers into the game for both teams, and that's about what you expect when you have a delay that long. So an opportunity for the Mariners to get things done here against the righty.
Nahas toes the rubber, and he will be greeted by Pat Winkle. First pitch to Winkle, catches the outside corner.
So Sean Sullivan's outing is over, and completely different arm here into the game, which For the Mariners, could be good, could be bad. Just the one hit, 2 base runners against Sullivan in the first 2 innings.
One goes right to the backstop and having trouble trying to make that play was Pasek, and he's going to go straight out to the mound. And they might have been crossed up on that one.
I think he was expecting something different because he got a high fastball, and it looked like he set up low, expecting that pitch to kind of break down in the zone. So it'll be a 1-1 count, but always want to have a word with your pitcher. Make sure they have the signs together and that they're on the same page. So come back here into his crouch behind the dish.
Pat Winkle 1 for 6 so far after appearing in 2 games with a run scored. Also reached via a walk, so it's a .286 on-base percentage for the UConn catcher. 1-1 misses high, 2-1 now. Still some pretty dark clouds, but not nearly as threatening as the ones we've seen earlier today. That have caused this game to be delayed twice, as Winkle waves at one and misses to even the count.
Yep, and Harwich trying to get up in one of the only stat categories that's mattering at this point in the season, and that's games played. So for our Brewster holding the lead there with 10. Everybody else trailing them down in the basement. Bourne and Falmouth have only played 7 games apiece this season so far.
2-2 will miss just outside. Winkle with a lot of strikeouts in his first couple of games. Looking to avoid that here with a full count. Nahas with a long look in. Now he starts his windup, and here's the payoff. Swing and a miss for strike 3, and once again, Pat Winkle strikes out. There's one away.
Yep, so here comes a guy making his debut for the Harwich Mariners today. It'll be Hal Hughes. He's already made a pretty good play out there in the field, and now has an opportunity to get something done with the bat here in the 9-hole.
Hughes' teammate Daniel Cabrera also making his debut, the right fielder for Harwich. So Nahas with his third baseman Mervis deep in on the grass. First pitch he throws will miss.
Hal Hughes is one of the more highly touted players off that LSU roster going into the 2019 season. He had a .221 average in his freshman year, but a little bit of struggles with the bat in this last season. Just a .177 average.
Almost grazed the jersey of Hughes.
Yep, and of course a part of the reason for that, he was battling a thumb injury for quite some time. LSU, of course, knocked out in the Super Regional round. That brought Daniel Cabrera and Hal Hughes to the Mariners.
Hughes rips a ball down the right of the strike zone to even the count at 2. Only hit in this game so far belongs to Nico Cavadas in the home half of the second. But Cotuit with the only run. Here's the 2-2. And a nice breaking ball has Hughes all sorts of fooled as he strikes out swinging. So it's back-to-back Ks to kick off his outing for Joseph Nahas.
Yep, and Nahas definitely didn't expect to be thrown into the situation that he was today. But again, you prepare for it like a start. And the difference between him and Will Heflin is he gets to come into a fresh inning. His team has a 1-run lead and able to just kind of work through things as business as usual.
And Nahas in his third appearance, he does have a save. Has not allowed a run in 6 innings pitched out of the pen. So his first pitch to Cam Thompson will miss inside. Thompson walked to lead off the bottom of the first, then stole second, but was stranded at third to end the inning. From the windup, the 1-0 is fouled straight back. Still a decent crowd on hand sticking out to watch the remainder of this one.
I feel like at some point you're just committed, you know? You stick around for long enough waiting through the lightning delay and the rain delay and the postponement of the start time. Eventually, you're going to watch some baseball. So a pretty good crowd on tap, as you mentioned.
1-1 is ripped to the right side. That is through for a base hit. So for the second time in as many plate appearances, Cam Thompson has reached base with a 2-out single.
Yep, and that's got to feel good for Thompson, who, again, really does shine on the base paths. Already 1 stolen base for him today, 2 on the season, and now an opportunity to get back on the base paths with Christian Fedko stepping to the dish.
Yeah, it looked like Mason Dodd didn't get a great jump on that ball as it was between him and the second baseman Gonzalez. So as he kind of stumbled out of the gate there, he just retreated to first base and was hoping that Gonzalez would get there. He was unable to. So now Fedko with a good 2-out opportunity with a man on. Struck out looking on a nice pitch back in the first by Sullivan. So now Nahas will have to work from the stretch. And a pickoff move, a close play on the tag from Dodd.
Yeah, for Cam Thompson, that's just his first hit since the Falmouth doubleheader, and again, good to be back in the hit column for the one of the few guys returning to the Mariners this season.
So no count still. Here's the first pitch and a big swing and a miss for strike 1. Fedko came into this game with a .438 batting average. I believe he only trailed Joey Weimer in that regard for the team lead. 2 of the most consistent hitters on this Mariners lineup through the first 9 games, and that pitch is in there for a called strike 2.
Well, and a couple of the more dangerous hitters. Talk about what Fedko has been able to accomplish. You mentioned just a ridiculous batting average for him so far this season. That one clocking in at .438, slugging .750.
Oh, 2 swing and a miss, strike 3. So out of 4 batters faced, Joseph Nahas strikes out 3 of them, and that retires the side. So the Mariners now with 2 hits compared to Cotuit's 0, but they trail on the scoreboard 1-0. My broadcast partner Tyler Henry will take it on the other side. After 3, it's 1-0 Cotuit. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on YouTube.
Back to baseball here at White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey bringing you coverage of this one. Finally continuing baseball action as it is a 1-0 lead for Cotuit. And Colin, again, the only game left in action here in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Everybody else has either given up or, well, not had the proper field conditions, including a lack of lights to play today. So this is the only game in action, and hopefully we'll be able to get through at least 5 full here.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to be hit by the rain at almost the perfect time, whereas we were able to get the field back going. And then when the lightning happened, it wasn't really a lot of rain, so the field was able to survive it.
Back out there for another inning is Will Heflin. The first task he will face in this one will be Cameron Williams, who steps in from the right-hand side. First pitch he sees is in there for a strike. Williams today 0 for 1, grounded out to short or to second. Back in the second inning, the second pitch he sees from Heflin is high and away. Count even at 1-1 here.
Yeah, just 2 hits on the season for Williams, but one of them is a home run. And the same goes for Dante Williams.
Heflin's next pitch will miss down and away, and that'll skip back to the backstop. And for Will Heflin, still a perfect ERA on the season. The one run that came around to score back in the third is charged to Carson Seymour, so the book shuts on him. 2 2/3 of an innings pitched, 1 earned run given up. Swing and a miss for strike 2. Had a good breaking ball down there in the dirt. Seymour also managed 2 strikeouts, just 1 walk, actually 2 walks, and a hit batter. 2-2 on the way from Will Heflin, finally able to work out of the windup. Big swing and a miss, strike 3. And you can see how much more comfortable Will Heflin looks pitching out of the windup with the bases empty as he gets the first man down on strikes.
Yeah, this is a guy who's got some great strikeout pitches in his arsenal. And it's never easy to come into a game with two guys on base, but he did have 2 strikes, and there was a couple of times where he just couldn't get that strikeout pitch when he needed it the most. Now it seems like he's locked in, and he's taking advantage of this bottom half of the Cotuit lineup.
So that'll bring up Dante Williams, is going from Williams to Williams. Dante grounded out. Now he's going to lay down a bunt. Coming in as Heflin, able to grab it. Throw to first is in time. And how about that? A little bang-bang play at first, but keeping his foot on the bag and not losing his composure was Nico Cavadas, 2 away.
And Heflin being a southpaw, that is such a difficult play. He's moving to his offhand towards the first base side. He's able to backhand it on a funny hop, spin like 180 degrees, and then whip the throw over to Nico Cavadas in time. Just a phenomenal athletic play by Heflin. And it seems like he's getting it done both as a pitcher and in the field.
Absolutely. Coming up for a third time is Duke Ellis, who is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. The first pitch he sees is in there, an off-speed pitch for strike 1. So again, Will Heflin working from 3 predominant pitches, a fastball, a curveball, and a changeup. He's made the most of the opportunities he's been given so far this year, with the exception of a shaky third to start this one. The 0-1 pitch is a fastball just in there, low and outside, and the count is 0-2.
Yeah, I think a fresh slate is really what Heflin needed. He seems a lot more focused on getting the ball on the corners and hitting his spots the way we saw him do against Falmouth.
So Heflin ready to go from the windup. Duke Ellis will shorten up on the bat with an 0-2 count. Here comes the pitch, and that'll be taken right at Nico Cavadas, who will step on the bag himself for out number 3. 3 up, 3 down. The Mariners out of the visitors' 4th quickly. We head now to the home half of the 4th inning. Still a 1-0 Cotuit lead. You're listening to Mariners Baseball here on the Mariners YouTube Network. Welcome back to the ballpark. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey. I'd like to remind you that this game is brought to you by Curry College. Earn a bachelor's or master's degree, complete a certificate, or take a single course through a division of continuing education and graduate studies at Curry College. Classes run days, evenings, and weekends in Milton and Plymouth. To learn more about programs in business, criminal justice, education, and nursing, please visit curry.edu. Here it's a 1-0 lead for the Cotuit Kettleers. Coming up to try to change that will be the Mariners. They'll go 3-4-5. Tyler Keenan, Bobby Seymour, and Daniel Cabrera. And it seems like the offense, Colin, has figured it out at times, but it still seems to be an on-again, off-again thing with these games. Putting up 9 hits in a very cloudy, very foggy game just a couple days ago. They've been a little bit stumped here early on in this one, but a couple of hits early. Just trying to string a little bit more together here and get some runs on the board.
Yeah, they've been having trouble making contact in a way that they've been striking out a lot. I mean, in this game, 4 strikeouts in 3 innings isn't ideal. You'd like to put the ball and play more, but I think there's definitely some things that this team's improving on offensively, and they're slowly but surely starting to pick things up within each game that they play.
First pitch to Tyler Keenan will be a breaking ball that'll just catch the inner half. Keenan, one of the ones that has been a strikeout victim a couple of times, but the power numbers kind of negate that. So he is one of a couple guys left on the roster with a home run this year. And that's another stat category that the Mariners trail the rest of the league in. Just 3 home runs this season, just 2 by guys who are currently on the active rosters. Keenan will watch an off-speed pitch miss high and inside to even the count at 1-1. Of course, the other guy with a home run this season, not in the lineup today, that's Joey Weimer. He's hitting .333. but he'll be available if need be later on in this one. For the time being, it's Tyler Keenan with a 1-1 count. The third baseman squaring off once again against Joseph Nahas, as this one will miss low and inside to make the count 2-1. And Colin Nahas has looked awfully good since starting this game.
Yeah, he came in strong, was ready for coming in after a rain delay to relieve Sullivan. 3 strikeouts and 4 batters. Can't get much better than that other than striking out 3.
Here he tries to solve the Tyler Keenan problem. Keenan will lift this one foul back into the Mariners, well, near the Mariners bullpen, and it'll be a 2-2 count.
Yeah, despite the Mariners only having 3 home runs in the season, that's good enough for tied for 6th in the entire CCBL. So that's actually middle of the pack compared to some of the other teams going around.
Fair enough. It is interesting, though, because at the top of that list is Cotuit, who I believe has, do you say 10?
10, correct.
10 home runs coming into this game. So 10 is first, 3 is good enough for 6th. Is this one a fastball? And a lot of velocity on that. Just missing low was Joseph Nahas, but really found another gear there for that one.
With the combination of the change in, I guess, the rain and the night skies, it seems like things have dropped so far, as that's actually going to be ball 4 and a leadoff man is on for the Mariners. But the what I was saying was, it's amazing that it was actually kind of warm when we first got here, and all of a sudden, looking to put on some layers here at White House Field.
I mean, I don't know what you did with your afternoon, Colin, but I went to the beach. It was a nice sunny afternoon, just kind of head out in the water a little bit, enjoyed a nice some warmer temperatures, and then showed up to the ballpark with some clouds overhead, and the next thing you know, it's dumping down rain. We're in a lightning delay. There's hail coming down in Wareham. Part of the reason that game was canceled. First pitch is a breaking ball. That'll just get in there to Bobby Seymour, who's 0 for 1 today. He flew out to left back in the first inning, but now hitting with nobody out and a runner on first.
A couple of double headers in the next few days. We're hoping that the weather forecast will be good for those. One tomorrow against Hyannis, the other against Yarmouth Dennis on Tuesday.
Here comes the 0-1 pitch, and that'll be taken hard down the left field line, but well foul. So the count is 0-2 here on Bobby Seymour. And yeah, Colin, I mean, you only get 2 doubleheaders that are scheduled for the season. One of those is the one against Hyannis tomorrow on the road, the other of which was the Falmouth doubleheader earlier this year. But Harwich is going to have a minimum of 4 this season. So they will have the doubleheader on Tuesday against YD, and then of course a doubleheader later on this season, a makeup game against Wareham, as you mentioned. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. That'll be taken in the hole, and that'll be good for a base hit for Bobby Seymour. Holding up at second is Keenan, and the Mariners have 2 on here with nobody out. A good start to the home half of the 4th.
Yeah, good to see Seymour starting to see the ball better, as he had hit a line drive right at the left fielder to end the first inning with a runner in scoring position. This time he finds a hole, and now 2 on, nobody out. The Mariners really threatening against Cotuit here.
So a big spot coming up here for Daniel Cabrera here in his Mariners debut. He's 0 for 1, but gave it a pretty good ride out there to straightaway center field in his first at-bat. The former Team USA product stands in from the left-hand side. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Mariners trailing by 1. Cotuit Cavaliers here on the road, looking to extend a winning or end a losing streak. They've lost their last 2. Checking the runner back to second is Joseph Nahas. Long extended kick, and the pitch is in there. A fastball for strike 1. Joseph Nahas, as you mentioned, started off very well. Struck out all 3 of the outs in the 3rd inning, but then walked Tyler Keenan and allows a hit to Bobby Seymour, which brings up Daniel Cabrera here in his 2nd Cape Cod League at bat. The 0-1. That is a broken bat back up the middle. Got to be careful there. They go the short way, and they will succeed in eliminating Bobby Seymour. Cabrera safe at first. Keenan moves up to 3rd, but just having to kind of get out of the way and conserve his own life there was Joseph Nahas, as that broken bat went right up the middle, right back at him.
Yeah, definitely a scary situation. That's the risk you have when you are playing in a wooden bat league. You never know when that bat could splinter. He made a nice pitch, able to jam the hitter Cabrera, but the bat hurtling towards him, he had to kind of get out of the way of that, unable to field the ball, but right there to back him up was his shortstop, Cam Williams.
So that'll bring up the man who hit the first hit of the game. It'll be Nico Cavadas. Tying run just 90 feet away. Runners at the corners here for the Mariners with one out here in the home half of the fourth. The big lefty and Nico Cavadas stands in. It'll be lefty on righty as Joseph Nahas sets. Here comes the first pitch, and Cavadas will watch that one. A little late tailing action, and that misses low to make it a 1-0 count.
Cavadas ripped the ball into right center for the first hit of the game by either team. As the Kettleers through 4 do not have a hit, but they find themselves with the lead.
Cavadas already has 3 RBIs this season, just 1 extra base hit for him. Looking to extend the RBI numbers as a quick pickoff move over to first, just to keep Daniel Cabrera honest. And he's in there safely. So again, the only game going on right now in Cape Cod action. Everybody else has been darked out, rained out, or hailed out, or field conditioned out. Here's the 1-0, and that one will be fouled away to even the count at 1-1.
Now, was Falmouth able to complete their game?
No, so that's the thing. Falmouth was in the first inning of their game with Wareham, and they had hail coming down on top of them, so they called that one. Brewster, in a similar situation, realized they weren't going to get the whole game in before things went dark, so they postponed. But we did find out games in the Cape Cod League, you and I had a question on this earlier, do resume. So everything will stay right where it is going forward for those two. They will pick their games up sometime later this season. Here comes the 1-1 from Nahas, and that'll be fouled away once again behind the screen. Nico Cavadas fights off another pitch.
Now, what do the Commodores have to do to get a game in these days?
I don't know. I mean, I can't tell if they've angered the baseball gods or what, but they have missed now 5 straight games. Them and Bourne. I mean, the two of them just can't play in a baseball game, and it's getting very frustrating for both. Cavadas digs in. Here's the 1-2 pitch, and he'll foul off another one to keep the at-bat alive here.
Yeah, both of them only playing 7 games so far this season.
Yep, and the two of them in last place in the league in that regard. If Harwich is able to complete this one, they'll be one of just 2 teams in the league with 9 games played. This will be the 9th game for, or 10 games, sorry. This would be the 9th for the Kettleers, should we get through 5 innings in this one. Cavadas ready for the 1-2 pitch. Runners at the corners, one away. Here it is, and that'll be taken into shallow end. Unable to make the grab there is Mervis as he kind of came in. That ball playing tricks on my eyes, but he almost came in and made a good grab. Can't quite secure it with the glove. And a lucky break there for Nico Cavadas.
Yeah, that's one you really got to have if you're Mervis there. I mean, it's a running play. He had to hustle to get to it, but the ball was right in front of him. He didn't really have to extend his arms too far away from him to make the catch.
And it looked like that ball was going to have a little bit more distance to it, but just kind of shorting it up there, and a weak foul ball for Nico Cavadas. Joseph Nahas desperately looking for the second out of this inning with runners at the corners, trying to avoid the tying run coming home. Here's the pitch, and that'll miss a fastball high to even the count at 2-2. Cavadas last season, 43 strikeouts to just 55 walks. One of the better ratios that you'll see, especially considering his freshman year. He had 24 strikeouts, only 18 walks. So bringing that ever closer together and trying to extend that streak here in the Cape Cod season. Here comes the pitch, and that one's going to be taken hard at second base. It'll get under the glove of Gonzalez and into right field. 1 run will score. We're tied up here, and Daniel Cabrera moves over to third.
Well, I mean, Cavadas had a solid first couple of games, then he really started to struggle at the plate over the last, 5 or 6 games or so. But now he's really starting to pick it up. A couple of hits here, and he just tied the game for the Mariners. Not only that, now he puts another runner at third, and now Chris Lanzilli, another guy who's trying to break out of a bit of a slump, has an opportunity to give his team the lead here in the bottom of the fourth.
Absolutely. So a run scores. The situation pretty much stays the same. Runners at the corners, 1 away. But instead of Nico Cavadas standing in, it'll be Chris Lanzilli. So far this season, Lanzilli hitting a bit of a tough 143. 182 on base percentage, but looking right now for his first RBI of the season. And this would be an excellent time to get it as the go-ahead run stands just 90 feet away. Nahas still working out of the stretch. It'll be righty on righty now. Advantage favors the pitcher. Nahas sets, kicks, delivers, and that one will be taken a chopper at short. It's going to get under the legs of Williams. So a run will come across, and just misplaying it there is the shortstop.
Yeah, some pretty disappointing defense this inning so far from Cotuit. I mean, that's a tailor-made double play ball. Granted, it was a little bit of a tricky hop, but if that was played well by Williams, it would have been Lanzilli's second double play that he's grounded to in the game. Instead, it gets through, and now the Mariners with a 2-1 lead.
And it looks like they're going to rule that as an error. Colin, you and I mentioned the fielding percentage for the Mariners has been very good this season. One of the teams sitting in the basement of that category is the Cotuit Kettleers. So they are in 8th in that respective metric. So it's going to go down as an error on the shortstop. And Chris Lanzilli finds his way on first. Runners at first and second here. Still one away. Mariners now lead it 2-1 here in the home half of the 4th. And coming up now will be the catcher, Pat Winkle. Winkle, a strikeout victim back in the 3rd, looking to extend the rally here for the Mariners, give them a few insurance runs. First pitch he sees is off speed and will miss high, and the count's a 1-0. Winkle's had a few games here for the Mariners, the Yukon catcher, coming off of his freshman year. A pretty good season for the youngster. .318 average, 18 extra base hits, 10 home runs to go along with that, but so far still finding his footing in Cape Cod League play as he skies this one. An opportunity for Mervis, who comes over into foul territory, and he'll squeeze it for out number 2.
Yeah, Mervis able to get under that or get underneath that one and make a play. And now we'll bring up Hal Hughes with 2 on and 2 away. The same situation that Cotuit was in the top of the 3rd, where they were able to score, able to rally. In fact, there were no outs, bases empty when that rally began.
Yep, and this would be an excellent time for Hal Hughes to find his first Cape Cod hit. 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Righty on righty once again, advantage still favoring Joseph Nahas. Runners at first and second, and the first pitch Nahas deals is going to just catch the outer half. It's an 0-1 count.
And looking over at short, in the 10 games played so far, almost 11 now, that's the 4th error committed by a shortstop for Cotuit, so definitely a position of concern there. The 2nd by Williams.
Checking the runner over at second and then dealing the 0-1 is Nahas, and it'll be a big swing and a miss for Hal Hughes.
2 also belonging to another shortstop, Adam Oviedo, who is not playing today, but he does have 2 home runs on the season, so him and Arajanu both with double the home runs there.
Yep, part of the Cotuit hit parade that seemingly never stopped through the first part of the season as Hughes fouls this one away. You and I remember well, by the time Harwich got to Lowell Park for a meeting with the Kettleers early this season, they were averaging 7 runs a game. But since then, they've only played in 2 games. They're averaging 1 run a game through those 2. And here in a third, have only scored 1 almost halfway into this one. Hughes stands in, ready for the 0-2 pitch, looking to extend this inning. Long look over at second for Aha, and the pitch is going to be fouled away. Nahas keeping that one up and out. The count stays 0-2.
Yeah, I'm sure that layoff had something to do with it, because you had the 9-9 tie back on June 16th in the 2nd game of the doubleheader against Yarmouth Dennis. Then a bit of a layoff. 3 days later they played, and they were shut out by the Wareham Gatemen at home.
So aside from that, still looking for their first win, and while it may only be a 2-game losing streak, they haven't won a game in over a week. Here comes the 0-2 pitch once again. It'll be a breaking ball, and swinging right through it is Hal Hughes for his 2nd strikeout of the day. So we head to the 5th, but Harwich able to get the runs back. They take a 2-1 lead when we come back. More baseball action. We head to the 5th. After this, you're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here at White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as I believe the song is Gloria playing over the speakers, Colin.
It
and
is. Yep.
I see you kind of wincing a little bit. You okay?
Too soon.
Too soon. Fair enough. So back to baseball action here. The Harwich Mariners able to reclaim their lead. They are up 2-1 on the Cotuit Kettleers, and Cotuit will send 9-1-2 up to bat. They'll be Cody Pasek, Nick Gonzalez, and Parker Chavers. Pasek will lead things off here. He grounded out back to the pitcher back in the third inning. An inning that turned into quite the productive one for Cotuit as they were able to get a run scratched across. They did leave the bases loaded, but did all of that without a single hit. The one run coming across was walked in by Will Heflin. But since then, he's looked awfully good. 3 up, 3 down for him as this pitch misses for ball 1.
Mariners looking to even their record against Western Division opponents.
This one is fouled away back behind the bullpen for the Mariners.
Actually, that would actually improve them to 5-3. They're looking to make their home record back above 500. They're 2-2 coming into this game here at White House Field.
And of course, trying to play a lot of the interdivisional games early in the season, get those road trips out of the way as this one is chopped foul back around the first base line.
Both wins at home, of course, coming during that doubleheader against the Falmouth Commodores.
Well, and you can look at it this way too. In games that have not gone 9 innings but that have counted, the Mariners are 3-0. 2 games against the doubleheader against Falmouth, and then the fog-out game the other day against Wareham. This one will miss high in the zone to even the count at 2-2. And a big stretch coming up here. The next 4 games that the Mariners play in will not go 9 innings, as we'll have 2 doubleheaders coming up on the slate. 2-2 pitch is fouled back to the screen. One of our riders ducking for cover.
And Pasek, a Cotuit native, so he's playing for his hometown team.
It's got to be nice being able to play baseball right around the area where you grew up. Not a lot of guys have that luxury. A lot of guys coming from all over the country, but one guy coming from his own backyard. 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Strike 3 at a fastball low in the zone, and Cody Pasek is down on strikes.
Yeah, and one of the guys actually that had that luxury last year when I was interning with the Valley Blue Sox was Endy Morales, as Endy is a Holyoke native playing in front of the fans at Mackenzie Field. Went to Southern New Hampshire University, ended up actually starting in the All-Star game at Mackenzie Field that year. So a really special season capped off by a championship for the Valley Blue Sox.
Doesn't get a whole lot better than that. Cotuit, I'm sure, would also like that, as would every other team in the league. Trying to unseat the Wareham Gatemen as this pitch will miss a breaking ball inside at the knees to Nick Gonzalez. Gonzalez today, 0 for 1 with a strikeout, was also hit by a pitch and scored the only run for Cotuit so far. That coming back in the third inning. So Gonzalez stands in. Here comes the pitch, and it's a high fastball that'll miss away. Count it 2-0 here.
Gonzalez 0 for 1 with a strikeout, but he was also hit by a pitch and ended up coming in to score when Mervis was walked. The only run of the game so far for Cotuit, as the count is now at 3-0.
Yep, another pitch missing high and away here. Will Heflin struggling with command here against Nick Gonzalez. Gonzalez has already been hit once today, trying to avoid getting put on base free a second time, and this one will catch the zone high, make the count 3-1.
Cotuit with 16 championships, the most by 5 in the CCBL.
3-1 on its way. That one swung on and fouled away to make it a full count here. And yeah, interestingly enough, I mean, they've done it in fewer years than a lot of these teams have, too. A shorter history for the Cotuit Kettleers. Their most recent coming in 2013. Right on their heels is Orleans, 11 titles, but 7 of those coming when there was no playoff to be heard of. Full count, here comes the payoff from Heflin, and that'll miss inside. Heading down to first for free for a second time today is Nick Gonzalez, and this time doesn't have to get Bean to do it.
Yeah, so far for Heflin, it's been kind of sink or swim with these strikeouts and walks. It's either one or the other, it seems like. Not a lot of balls hit and play outside of the couple last inning by Williams and Ellis. Now a strikeout and a walk to lead off this inning, and he starts to enter the dangerous part of this Kettleers order.
As Parker Chambers steps to the dish, he's 0 for 2, or actually 0 for 0 today.
Yep.
2 walks for him. First pitch he sees is a strike, and as you mentioned that for Heflin, 3 walks to 3 strikeouts so far, so that's been dead even. Definitely believes in 1 of 2 true outcomes out there on the bump. Quick pickoff move over to first, not quick enough to get Nick Gonzalez, who's back in there safely.
And Chavers has doubled his walk total in the season. He came in with 2. He's already got 2 in 2 plate appearances.
So patience paying off for Chavers. Next pitch he sees and he gets jammed. Chasing that one back is Hal Hughes, and he'll squeeze it for out number 2. The infield that we're used to seeing kind of taking shape, and this is actually an infield that you might want to get used to, as the DH today, Bobby Seymour, usually can be seen playing first base, but with Al Hughes here, I get the feeling they might move him over to the DH spot to kind of get Nico Cavadas used to playing first base in this league, as Seymour will no longer be on the team, going to Team USA here in about 4 days.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the left side of the infield for the Mariners defensively. 2 guys that are really quick and have strong arms.
Well, one guy that won Defensive Player of the Year as this one is tossed over to first, and the other of which we've seen, I mean, every time he picks up the ball, Tyler Keenan, it just looks so smooth. I mean, it looks effortless, even on the tough plays. Mason Dodd is up to bat. First pitch he sees is going to be in there for strike 1. Dodd is 0 for 1 today, reached on a walk back in the 3rd. Aside from that, flied out to left field in the 1st.
And you see how important defense is as one of the 2 runs for the Mariners coming off of an error, and that right now is the difference in this game.
Heflin will throw back over to first once again just to keep Nick Gonzalez close. You and I both mentioned the apparent lack of speed for Gonzalez, not a big speed demon. But we'll see if he is in fact stealing. And here he goes, but it's a hit and run, and this one will be fouled away. And actually, it's Chavers that's not the speed demon. I believe Gonzalez has the 3 stolen bases this season. That's my mistake. So plenty of speed for him, and that's part of the reason he's getting so much attention over there from Will Heflin.
And then it's Cameron Hill, who's got half of the team's stolen bases coming into this game with 6 of them.
Here comes the pitch. Breaking ball in there for strike 3, and Will Heflin sets down yet another hitter. So nobody able to score here in the 5th for the Cotuit Kettleers. We head on to the home half. Mariners still hold a 2-1 lead. When we come back, you're listening to Harwich Baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. We head to the home half of the 6th here, or 5th, sorry, at White House Field, as the Mariners still hold a 2-1 lead, and calling a new pitcher coming into the game here for the Kettleers of Cotuit.
Yeah, it's going to be Chris Holcomb, the southpaw from Marston Mills, Mass. So he's a local guy. I believe he actually pitched in the last time these 2 teams played. I'll have to double check that real quick. And survey says
Getting through the book was a little bit easier earlier
he did.
this
He
year.
actually threw 1 scoreless inning. Pitched the 5th inning last time, so here he is pitching the 5th once again. Pitched a clean 1-2, 1-2-3 inning, had a strikeout and a couple groundouts.
Well, he'll get the top part of the order here, so trying to face off against 1-2-3, it'll be Cam Thompson, Christian Fedko, and Tyler Keenan coming up for the Mariners, and it's been a pretty good start to the season for Chris Holcomb, the big lefty, one of the guys that they're willing to go to in tough spots, and here he'll try to protect a one-run deficit, trying to keep the Mariners off the board here in the home half of the fifth.
Yeah, Holcomb actually faced Thompson in that fifth inning of work he had last time out. Got him to ground out to second.
It was a bit of a tough game for Cam Thompson, but one big hit here in this one. That one coming back in the third inning. Didn't end up turning into anything fruitful, but still able to break free of the slump. We'll see if that carries over into this at-bat. As again, Carson Seymour, another guy from Kansas State who played a season at Dartmouth before transferring, was transfer ineligible last season. Interesting that the two guys that are in that same boat both played at K-State, as this one is fouled away. Not uncommon to see multiple guys in that situation, but the fact that both of them are Wildcats kind of makes you wonder what's going on over there at Kansas State that the rest of us don't know about. So, coming up for another at-bat here is Cam Thompson. As I mentioned, he is 1 for 1 today. Had a base hit back in the third, reached on a walk back in the first. And he'll watch this one down and away, count to 1-1.
It's going to be lefty, righty, lefty for Holcomb. Probably the reason they went with the lefty there is to face a couple of them. We'll see if he goes more than one inning this time.
Wave at a pitch down and away, and the count is 1-2 here. Well, one of the things that might be going on at Kansas State is their head baseball coach. It's actually Pete Hughes, father of Hal Hughes, who's making his debut as a Mariner here today. As this one will miss low and away. And of course, Pete, no stranger to the D1 league. Or not league, but the D1 situation. Formerly the head coach at Boston College, Virginia Tech, and an assistant at Oklahoma. So working his way into the Big 12 and taking over the reins of the Wildcats program. An interesting connection here on this team. Here comes the 2-2 pitch, and that'll be swung on and missed. As cutting right through that is Cam Thompson, who goes down on strikes.
Yeah, it's always cool stories to hear about guys who are coaching. And obviously in this situation, two different schools, but sometimes you have those special situations where your father's a coach at a college. For example, I remember, I believe it was Alabama State where R.J. Hunter went to school, where he was playing for his father and ended up hitting a huge shot against Baylor in the tournament, which ended up being a dagger in that game. And I remember his dad had like a broken foot and ended up falling out of his chair in celebration.
Yeah, it's always crazy the kind of connections you can get as this first pitch will miss low in the dirt. And it seems like they're all over the place. You get up into the D1 level and you got 300 some schools up there, but still able to complete the threads between programs here and there. This one will also miss low. Counts 2-0 here on Christian Fedko. Fedko 0 for 2 today with a couple of strikeouts, but still one of the hottest hitters on this team. A batting average coming into this game of over 400. And he's getting his first looks here at Chris Holcomb. This one will be in there for strike one. Little late movement on that fastball. And the count's 2-1.
Yeah, Holcomb's got a lot going on in his delivery. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Josh Hader, where he comes in with that wind-up from the three-quarters angle.
It's been effective for him so far this season as he delivers the 2-1 of another fastball that comes in there and evens the count at 2-2. Christian Fedko talked about a little bit of a slow start. Not a lot of a slow start, but a little bit for him here in this season. Actually battling kind of a long-standing thumb injury as he waves at this one, but he's looked a lot better coming into this game. In this game, not so much. He has the hat trick of strikeouts, and that will bring up Tyler Keenan.
Yeah, he's definitely a little bit frustrated that this game hasn't been going the way the last couple has for him. Sometimes it's just one of those games, and he'll get at least one more chance of redemption in this one. Hopefully he'll be able to create some offense for his team.
Tyler Keenan stands in. First pitch he sees is breaking ball that'll miss well low and away. And yeah, I don't think we have a whole lot more rain slated to come in here today. And even if there is, we have played close to 5 innings. As soon as this half of it's done, this game will be in the books no matter what, as Keenan will ground this one to third, picking it up as Mervis, who throws across the diamond and in time for out number 3. So we go to the 6th. Still a 2-1 lead for the Mariners. You're listening to Harwich Baseball. It'll be Mervis, Anu, and Williams due up on the other side of the break here on YouTube TV.
Welcome back to White House Field as it is 2-1 Mariners leading the Kettleers after 5 innings. And this broadcast is brought to you in part by Cape Cod Healthcare. Cape Cod Healthcare is a leading provider of healthcare services for residents and visitors of Cape Cod, with 2 acute care hospitals and more than 450 physicians. For more information, please visit capecodhealth.org. Cape Cod Healthcare, expert physicians, quality hospitals, superior care.
Back out there on the bump for another inning of work is Will Heflin as he continues his regime here. Obviously coming in to replace the starter today, and Carson Seymour came in during the 3rd inning, and that wasn't due to anything bad that Seymour had done necessarily, just had an hour break in between and didn't want to bring him back into the game, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a little bit frustrating for Seymour because he hasn't been really able to have an extensive start in this one. You know, the first one he only went an inning and a third because of the pitch limit, and now all of a sudden you have the big rain delay, and once again he's robbed of having a deep start here on the Cape.
So we'll see whether or not he can have an opportunity in another game coming up soon, as this first pitch from Heflin will miss low and outside. Count is 1-0 here to Matt Mervis, who today is 0 for 1. Also reached on a walk back in the 3rd. Mervin digs in. Here comes the pitch. Big swing and a miss at that one. A high fastball to even the count at 1-1.
Yeah, Mervis, I think, recognized that pitch at the last second because he was way behind it. But he does have the only RBI in this one as he was walked with the bases loaded.
So trying to start something for his team as they trail by 1. He'll foul this one away, and it's a 1-2 count. Really quick update around the league, if you will. Obviously, the only game is being played here. Falmouth and Wareham didn't have a chance to get off the ground. Neither did Hyannis and Bourne. But a final to pass your way. Chatham defeats YD by a final score of 5-2. That game goes 5 innings. And, of course, when they resume play, Orleans will be down to Brewster 3-0. Swing and a miss at a pitch down in the zone, and that'll send Matt Mervis down on strikes as Will Heflin picks up strikeout number 4.
And actually on that Orleans-Brewster game, due to the fact that the game didn't go 5 innings, they actually have to restart that game from the very beginning.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We had the Twitter update, at least from the Brewster Twitter page, is that they will resume the game as a 3-0 score sometime later down the road. So at least, unless I misinterpreted that, that'll be the picking up point for that game later on this year. Whether or not it ends up being a full 9-inning game or they decide to turn it into a 7-inning bout is yet to be determined. But
yeah, we actually have a pinch hitter here. It's going to be Joey Loperfido, as he will pinch hit for Arajanu, who was 0 for 2 coming into this at-bat. His first pitch will miss from Heflin.
So a new task here for Heflin. Interesting to pull Arajanu 0 for 2 today. A strikeout and a ground out, but still one of the better hitters on this team. Took Harwich deep. That one is bounced off of Keenan. He tries to stick with it. Fires across the diamond. Able to pick it out, but not in time is Cavadas. And that will go down as an infield single for the pinch hitter to the game. In
Joey
Loperfido. Had to find that really quickly. So that'll bring up Cameron Williams here with a runner on base and 1 away.
We got another pinch hitter here.
All right. Breaking out all the stops here.
And it's going to be Oviedo, who we talked about earlier. He's got a couple of home runs coming into this one. He will pinch hit for Cam Williams.
So Adam Oviedo steps in from the right-handed batter's box. Again, getting another righty into the game to face the lefty in Heflin here with a runner on first. Heflin sets. And the first pitch he brings home. It's going to miss just below the zone or under the knees. The count is 1-0.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're going to these pinch hitters despite, it's not really the same of sending back out a pitcher after a delay than it is a hitter, but Coach Mike Roberts going to get everyone a little bit of a look here tonight.
Off speed will catch the zone to even the count at 1-1, and it's not like these guys hadn't had other at-bats either. I mean, the 2 that have been replaced so far did have another at-bat following the weather delay.
So I see what you were talking about with Brewster, the fact that originally they thought that they would have to restart it, but I guess the league granted them the ability to resume the game as that pitch is in there for a called strike.
I'm sure Orleans would have loved to restart the game.
Oh, yeah.
They'll be trailing 3-0, but Brewster clearly able to convince.
Oh, wait, it actually says today's game will be restarted as a part of a doubleheader.
Okay. So because they go
I
with a
just can't
doubleheader,
read,
no, you're good.
basically.
Because they go with a doubleheader, they will restart, and that kind of makes sense because you won't want to have a game shortened to 7 innings. That just kind of runs the clock back. So it will be restarted, as this one is foul away. The count stays at 1-2 here.
So definitely a huge break for the Firebirds. They want to get a clean slate in that one, maybe come away with a victory instead after things were looking pretty bleak before the rain moved in. Or actually, in this case, the darkness moved in.
Yep, knowing they weren't going to get through a full game, and that's kind of the other thing that stinks if you're playing at Brewster and you have to start a little bit later for some reason, as this one misses high and away. No lights there, no lights at YD, and I believe there's one other stadium in the league that doesn't have lighting.
I think Cotuit does not have lights. I'm not sure, though.
But either way, I mean, a reason that
Yeah,
those games are started earlier, and, you know, if weather pushes it back, sooner or later you're going to get to a point where you can't play the game. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And Will Heflin continuing to deal here. That is strikeout number 5. So we'll see whether we'll get Dante Williams here or if we'll have another pinch hitter. And it looks like it will be Williams. Williams today 0 for 2 with a couple of groundouts. One back to the pitcher, the other to short. Or to third, sorry.
Yeah, out of guys who started this game, he's one of only 2 guys that haven't struck out.
So far, Will Heflin has been doing a majority of the heavy lifting on that. As the first pitch he deals to Williams is on the upper outside edge. Count 0-1 here.
And the other being Parker Chavers, who has walked twice and popped out, so discipline paying its dividends for Chavers. Although he hasn't been able to come around to score yet because his team is not on the board in terms of hits.
Still hitless, but only trailing at 2-1 are the Kettleers. Here's a little half-check swing, and that'll be fouled back to the screen. So falling behind here is Williams, and yeah, I mean, if right now, if Will Heflin is able to get Dante Williams down on strikes, the only 2 guys he will not have struck out in this game all by himself would be Nick Gonzalez and Parker Chavers. So we would have struck out 7 of the 9 guys in the lineup. At least 7 of the 9 slots. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and there it is. Will Heflin continues to just dominate. 6 strikeouts here in 3 3/3 of an inning. So we head to the home half of the 6th. Mariners looking for more runs. When we come back, they lead it 2-1 over the Kettleers, and you're listening to Cape Cod Baseball here on the Harwich YouTube Network. Back out there on the bump for another inning of work here is Chris Holcomb. He was able to slow the Mariners' attack down in the 5th inning, and he'll have to do it against the middle part of the order. It'll be Bobby Seymour, Daniel Cabrera, and Nico Cavadas coming up here for the Mariners. But how about Will Heflin? Already 6 strikeouts for him. He is just tearing through hitter after hitter. And another guy that is on a temp contract right now as things kind of starting to tighten down on those guys. You can tell he's really looking for a spot here in the summer for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and it's something that you kind of feel a lot of pressure as a player to perform at your best when you know you're on a temp contract to try to earn your way on there. It's never easy knowing that the odds are kind of stacked against you, but some guys, if you work hard enough, you can find a permanent spot with the roster for this, not only this year, maybe even in the future as well.
Yep, you only get 30 spots on the roster, and of course, not helping with that right now is the fact that Texas Tech was eliminated from the College World Series by Michigan just a couple of days ago, so that'll bring Bryce Bonin, Max Marischok, and Dylan Noisy here to Harwich. But for the time being, the roster is set, and coming up to the dish now is Bobby Seymour, one of the guys that will not be on the roster here in a few days, departing for Team USA. So far today, he's 1 for 2, a base hit and a flyout. hitting in the DH spot in the cleanup hole today. Really got a solid piece of the shot that he put through the middle back in the fourth, and he'll watch a first pitch fastball in there for a strike to start the AB.
Yeah, so far in the inning that was pitched by Holcomb, his fastball, a lot of life on it.
Definitely something deadly to have in the toolkit is there. He just completely pulls the string on Bobby Seymour, who's fallen behind here 0-2.
Yeah, he's got a big hook as well. That one looked like it broke almost a foot and a half.
So Seymour is going to have to try to avoid becoming another strikeout victim here, already having two as Holcomb. Here comes the pitch. It's that curveball. He'll take it right at first, picking it up and stepping on first is Dodd, and that's one away. Really quickly, want to give you the only defensive substitution. Staying out there at shortstop for Williams is Oviedo. The other switch coming in for the DH. So a third at bat coming up here for Daniel Cabrera, who so far today is 0 for 2, grounded into a fielder's choice, but did manage to score back in the fourth on a broken bat and shot back up the middle. First pitch he sees, and it's going to be a fastball that paints the outside edge for strike one. Two strikeouts here for Chris Holcomb, who had a pretty good outing against the Mariners in a 7-5 win earlier this season. As his next pitch will catch the zone. Another fastball in there to make it an 0-2 count. And looking to continue his dominance here against Mariners hitters. Has yet to give up a hit here through the first four that he's faced. Here comes the 0-2. That one will be swung on and chopped to second. Picking it up is Gonzalez, and he'll throw him out easily at first for out number 2.
Yeah, nice, relatively easy bounce there for Gonzalez to take on 2 hops. And it's good for Cotuit that they were able to make an easy play on that one compared to the last chopper up the middle, which ended up resulting in a run.
Able to make the out, as you mentioned, and now they'll have to face the one guy they haven't been able to put down. It's Nico Cavadas, who today is 2 for 2, a couple of base hits and an RBI back in the fourth inning. Was able to drive in the run that brought this game even at 1-1. First pitch he sees is a breaking ball that'll miss outside, and the count to 1-0.
Yeah, that puts Cavadas now at a 6 for 26 on the season, so he's slowly but surely moving himself towards above the Mario Mendoza line.
The 1-0 is a fastball outside. I wonder when we were going to get to the Mendoza line reference. I knew it was coming. Want to explain to the viewers at home the Mendoza line a little bit more?
Oh, pretty much it's the line that's given to show batting competence in the MLB. And I believe it is somewhere around 190, so anywhere around there. It's widely disputed, but yeah, named after former Mariner Mario Mendoza, shortstop.
So trying to stay above that line.
So 215 is that, or no, 200 is the generally accepted number for the Mendoza line.
Okay. Trying to stay above it here, just treading water is Nico Cavadas, who's got a 3-1 count on him here. Here comes the pitch, and it'll be a big swing and a miss. Again, a lot of late movement on that fastball, and that's filled the count here.
Ironically, Mario Mendoza's career batting average is 215.
So he was hitting above his own line by a pretty decent amount. Hate to go down as the definition of mediocrity for the rest of eternity. Here's the payoff, and that'll miss down and away. Nico Cavadas finds his way on first for a third time today. And with 2 outs, the Mariners have a runner on base.
Yeah, the general definition of the Mendoza line, though, is the offensive threshold below which a player's presence on an MLB Major League Baseball team can't be justified regardless of defensive abilities. So, doesn't matter how good you are in the field, you're hitting below 200, you shouldn't be on a team, according to this rule.
Fair enough. Stepping in right now will be Chris Lanzilli, who today is 0 for 1, reached on an error and technically drove in a run back in the fourth inning. Would have been another double play he grounded into had the shortstop not made the error, and that shortstop has since been replaced as Oviedo has taken over for Williams. So it'll be a 1-0 count here on Chris Lanzilli. Runner on first, 2 away. Mariners leading it by 1 here in the home half of the 6th. The pitch will miss high and away. Good stop there by Cody Pasek. And the count is 2-0.
No action yet in the bullpen, so it looks like Holcomb will at least finish this inning out and perhaps go another.
Action up in the Mariners bullpen right now, and interesting, unless they're worried about Heflin's innings right now, they wouldn't want to leave him out for another. The way he's pitched, this one is going to be driven into deep left center field, but coming in to make the catch is Ellis, and he'll put it away for out number 3. So the Mariners get a runner on base, but can't bring anybody around. We head now to the final third of this one. It'll be the 7th inning coming up right after this. When we come back, you're watching Mariners baseball on Mariners TV.
We're back here at White House Field as the Harwich Mariners enjoying a 2-1 lead as we enter the top of the 7th. And after a strong performance out of the bullpen from Will Heflin going 3 1/3, no hits, walking 3, but he also struck out 7. They're going to turn the ball over to Nick Stewart out of James Madison. Stewart, who started his only game that he was in, he went 3 2/3, allowing 5 runs, all earned on 7 hits while striking out 5. This time he's coming in out of the pen.
Yeah, and an interesting move here to bring Nick Stewart into the game. Definitely a solid pitcher, but a guy that struggled a little bit in his one outing. You mentioned the 5 earned runs. So he's coming in here in a pretty big spot, and he will be met, of course, on the Cotuit side by the 8, 9, and 1 hitters, assuming we don't have any more pinch guys coming in.
It'll be interesting to see what Steve Englert goes with in the 8th and the 9th. You know, of course, Joe Boyle hasn't really seen a lot of action lately, as I believe he's only been in 2 games so far this year.
Yep, 2 games, both of them saves, and the other guy that has typically gone to is Tommy Vale, but of course, he came in, I believe, 2 days ago and ended up getting the save in the fog-out game against Wareham. So a couple of different options for him, but I get the feeling if it comes down to a one-inning kind of guy, it'll be Joe Boyle that is brought on for the save.
So it'll be Cameron Hill pinch hitting to lead off the inning for Duke Ellis. Hill with 6 steals on the season, half of the total for Cotuit. So definitely a threat to run, as he was actually the leadoff hitter in the first game between these two teams.
Well, and you can see the response here is they will send the lefty out to compete with the righty in Nick Stewart.
And the first pitch to Hill misses low for ball 1. Hill had 4 plate appearances. He reached base twice, 1 with a hit by a pitch. He also had an RBI single, but he struck out in the other 2. And that fastball's in there from Stewart, even the count at 1-1.
Yep, Nick Stewart, a guy that's going to rely on that fastball about 95 miles an hour on the velocity. Also throws a circle change and a knuckle curve.
1-1 is fouled straight back.
And again, just kind of utilizing the straight gas here early, bringing a lot of heaters home, trying to establish the fastball before he goes into his more secondary pitches.
Actually, another pinch hitter in the on-deck circle right now for the Kettleers. So, really scrambling here on our scorebooks this evening as the 1-2 is fouled off into the Mariners bullpen.
Well, you know, Colin, you don't get to swap out your substitutions at the end of the game for runs. Might as well use everybody you have, I guess.
Yeah, it's Colton Kessler who will pinch hit. He's in the on-deck circle now. He was the starting catcher in Game 1 back on June 15th. And the 1-2 pitch from Stewart. Check swing. Did he go? The appeal, no, he did not, says the third base umpire. 2-2.
Well, we'll see whether it's effective or not here, is trying to get to Nick Stewart. This Cotuit lineup.
Hard ground ball to short. Long throw across, and Hughes is able to make the play. And so, one batter, one out. Start the 7th for Nick Stewart.
Well, and again, just a very smooth play from Hal Hughes, who, he could have panicked, he could have rushed the throw, but make sure he gets it into the glove, secures it with 2 hands, and then just flips over to first and gets the runner over there, and the speedy Cam Hill is retired.
So here's the lefty, Colton Kessler, the Baldwin, Missouri native from the University of Kentucky. 3 for 20 on the season with 10 strikeouts. So he struck out in half of his at-bats, and he takes a big cut and misses the first pitch from Stewart, 0-1.
Yeah, you can see very, very aggressive here early on, and might be something Stewart can utilize to his advantage. Through those 3 2/3 of an inning that Nick Stewart pitched, he did have 5 strikeouts, didn't have any walks.
There's another swing and a miss from Kessler. And as of right now, Will Heflin is in line to pick up the victory, should the score hold. However, it is a 2-1 game, so far from over with 3 innings to play. No balls, 2 strikes to Kessler, batting in the 9 hole. And that pitch is in there for a called strike 3, and for the 11th time this season, Colton Kessler will take the walk of shame back to the dugout, 2 away.
Yeah, it's been a very tough start for him, and a pretty good bump there for Nick Stewart. Another strikeout to add on to his resume. So that'll be his 6th of the season.
So here's Gonzalez, who's reached base in 2 of 3 plate appearances tonight. Struck out looking back in the first, was hit by a pitch, and then came around to score in the 3rd, and then walked with 1 away in the 5th. And so the first pitch will miss for a ball. Goes all the way to the backstop, in fact. Gonzalez from New Mexico State. He digs back into the box. And Stewart will deliver from the windup once again. And this one will be fouled to the backstop this time, 1-1.
Yeah, it's Stewart not trying to do too much right now, just trying to locate the fastball, not going with anything too fancy. That's kind of what got him hit in his debut and part of the reason he gave up all those runs. But right now, keeping it simple, just trying to paint the corners with that fastball.
Long look in by Stewart. Now he starts his windup, the 1-1. Swing and a miss for strike 2 to Gonzalez. Cotuit sitting in 2nd in the West with a 4-3-1 record, with 1 less win than first place Wareham, and 1 more win than 3rd place Falmouth. Then it's Bourne in 4th, and Hyannis still looking for that first win, and there's strike 3 to end the inning. So a clean 7th from Nick Stewart. Down go the Kettleers in order, and after 6.5, it's stretch time here from White House Field, and the Mariners with a 2-1 lead. You are watching Harwich Mariners baseball on YouTube Live. back here at White House Field as 7 innings without a hit allowed for the Mariners. However, they did give up a run, but they do lead 2-1 through 6.5, and following the 7th inning stretch, it'll be 8, 9, and 1 hitters, Winkle, Hughes, and Thompson scheduled to bat.
And one of the things that I think we've criticized this team for, they strike out a lot. That's definitely a thing. You take a look at what they've done so far, and these stats are updated as of right now. 80 strikeouts for the Harwich Mariners so far, but the pitching has been incredible. Would you believe me if I told you that the Harwich Mariners had 96 strikeouts as a pitching core so far this year?
I mean, I would, because it seems like all their starters, all they do is strike guys out, and then you got guys like Heflin come out of the pen striking out 7 guys a game. I mean, these guys have their strikeout pitches working, and at least on the discipline part when it comes to hitting, they are tied for 5th in walks, so they do make up for it slightly in terms of drawing those walks, and they've had quite a few here tonight as the first pitch to Pat Winkle misses outside for a ball.
Yeah, it seems like just both sides of things racking up. The combined strikeout number is absurd.
Winkle swings at that one to even the count. 2 runs on 4 hits with 1 error for Harwich so far. They've left on 5. The 1-1 is popped up foul backing out of play, where it's been a run on 0 hits and an error for Cotuit, and they have left on 6.
Yep, just the one run that was walked in.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Winkle, who's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. And that pitch just narrowed the 3rd and the 4th.
Yeah, coming into this game, the Mariners, 89 strikeouts for the pitching staff. Dead last in the league is Falmouth with just 48. But again, they've played in a few fewer games.
And handcuffed on that swing as Winkle is able to fight it off and live to see another pitch. Winkle from Orange, Connecticut. The only guy in the Mariners roster born in the 21st century. January 27th. The 2-2. Line drive, tough play, knocking it down is Oviedo, and he has no throw, and that's going to be a base hit, so Pat Winkle picks up his 2nd hit as a Harwich Mariner.
Yep, in a good spot there as he started to kind of slide back a little bit. And a good effort there by Oviedo, just not a lot he was going to be able to do with that. That one was going to be a base hit all the way. So that'll bring Hal Hughes up to the dish, still looking for his first hit as a Harwich Mariner, 0 for 2 today with a strikeout, or 2 strikeouts.
Both of which swinging, coming in back-to-back innings, the 3rd and the 4th. Hughes from LSU. And should it come to it, Steve Englert's got a lot of options off the bench when it comes to pinch hitting. Should he go to any pinch hitters in crunch time here, his first pitch will miss outside, but for now he's got the 2-1 lead.
Well, and yeah, 2 of the hottest hitters in the entire lineup so far, and Joey Weaver and Chris Gallant both sitting today with the new additions of Danny Cabrera and Hal Hughes, but certainly options they could go to.
The 1-0 is a one-hopper. It's actually just going to be a force out at second, as looking to cut it off was Mervis. He couldn't get there in time, so Oviedo forced to throw the ball over to Gonzalez and get the force out, which retires Winkle, 1 away.
Yep, and that'll take us back to the top of the order, and Cam Thompson, who today is 1 for 2 with a strikeout and a base hit, able to break out of that slump that you and I talked about a little bit. Since the hit he had in the Chatham game, he'd only had 1 hit since then in the previous 6 games, but able to bounce back and get back on the right track.
Lefty against lefty. Warming in the pen right now for Cotuit is Matt Moore. A lefty, very similar to Matt Moore, the former Tampa Bay Rays pitcher. Big prospect coming out of there. First pitch is in there for a strike, so it's 0-1 now to Thompson. Holcomb looks over at first, where Hughes is on a short lead, and he'll throw over anyways.
Yeah, not a big lead over there for Hal Hughes, trying to keep things close. And it seems like Harwich kind of got a reputation in that Chatham game. They're a team that gets thrown over on more often than others after having back-to-back guys get picked off in the same inning.
0-1. That one just misses the outside corner. So Holcomb trying to find the zone once again. Looking to make it a 3 full innings out of the pen. He's only given up 1 hit so far, that one from Winkle just a few moments ago.
I will say Hal Hughes is a guy with a lot of speed over there on first. Last summer, in just 25 games, had 7 stolen bases. This one will miss high and inside. So, he's got some wheels. Just kind of playing it a little bit safe here with 1 away in a lead.
So the 3-0 count. Thompson is 1 ball away from reaching base for the 3rd time in 4 plate appearances. Christian Fedko on deck, looking to break an 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. And the 3-0 to Thompson. That one is in there as Thompson was taking a couple of steps towards first base, but the umpire calling him back 3-1.
And we'll see whether, if it comes to that with a full count, Hughes will take off with 1 away.
Long look, and the throw from Holcomb is fouled straight back. Now the count is full. We'll see if the hit and run is put on here with a speedy Hal Hughes over at first.
Another long at bat here from Cam Thompson, though, and he was able to work a walk back in the 1st inning after fighting his way back into a full count. Here he started with a 3-0 and has fallen back to a full count.
Mariners with a 2-1 lead here in the home half of the 7th. And another pick-off move. Much better job on the mound by Mariners pitching after giving up 7 the last time these two teams faced off. Including a couple of home runs, I believe. The 3-2, runner going, and that pitch will miss up and in for ball 4. So for the 2nd time, Cam Thompson walks, and that will bring up Christian Fedko with 2 on and 1 away.
Yep, and a Christian Fedko that is certainly due for a hit here. 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts today. This would be his moment to pop out of that. And again, it's not like he's been slow at any point this season. I mean, hitting over 400. But here, stepping in and trying to make something happen with runners on 1st and 2nd and 1 away here. Give a couple of insurance runs to the Mariners.
Fedko out of the University of Connecticut from Gibsonia, Pennsylvania. Was the AAC Position Player of the Year. So Holcomb from the stretch, and Fedko is granted time. Fedko with the rare feat of hitting 2 grand slams in 1 inning when he played in high school. And he also led Vincentian Academy to its first ever Pennsylvania State Championship. And there's a fly ball out towards center. Falling fast, it's going to get down for a base hit. So Fedko, now 1 for 4, able to break out with a single following 3 strikeouts to begin the game. And now the bases are going to be loaded for the dangerous Tyler Keenan.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tyler Keenan that has already driven in a couple of runs so far. He had the RBI double and also the home run back in that fog-out game against Wareham. So a big-time spot coming up here for the 3rd baseman out of Ole Miss. Got to get at least 1 run out of this, you got to think. And the infield is actually playing in here, so no interest in ending the inning with a double play. They're playing to keep the run off the board at home.
Hughes, the runner at 3rd, looking to become an insurance run here for the Mariners. And the first pitch seen by Keenan is right down the middle for strike 1.
And of course, that leaves a lot of room between the outfield and the infield. You can drop one in. Could be Flair's season.
Keenan drove in 3 runs in the last game that the Mariners played against Wareham. The 0-1. That's in the dirt, but a nice stop there by the catcher.
And the other advantage you have, nobody holding on any of the runners, so pretty big leads here. Big secondary leads for all 3 guys. Hal Hughes over at 3rd, Cam Thompson at 2nd, and Christian Fedko over there at first base.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 away. And the pitch in the dirt, a diving stop there by Kessler, and he's had a He's had his hands full back there in this at-bat. That's the second one he's kept from going to the backstop and easily preventing a run there.
Yeah, that was a heck of a breaking ball, but it started well outside of the zone and broke even further away. So a good stop by Cody Pasek.
Hitters count for the Ole Miss Rebel. And the 2-1 to Keenan. That'll miss inside, and now, all of a sudden, this is a situation that the Mariners were in earlier when they were in the field, and that is the danger of walking in a run here for Holcomb, who's laboring out there here in the 7th.
Yeah, he looked awfully good coming into this inning, but since then, hasn't done a whole lot. He's given up 2 hits, a walk, and a fielder's choice, which represents the only out of the inning so far.
The 3-1. Ground ball to the shortstop. They're coming home with it. They get the out at first. They get the out at home. The throw to first is in time. And it's an inning-ending 6-2-3 double play, and the side is retired. So, despite having the bases loaded with 1 away, that scoring chance goes by the wayside for the Mariners. They do still lead 2-1 after 7 innings. You're watching Mariners baseball here on YouTube Live. Top 8 here from White House Field. The Cotuit Kettleers are actually still looking for their first hit in this ball game. They were able to get a run across after Will Heflin walked in a run that was charged to the starting pitcher for the Mariners, Carson Seymour. But it's been all zeros in the hit column. Now the 2, 3, and 4 hitters are looking to change that here in the top of the 8th.
They've had 7 runners on base today. Not a single one coming via a hit. Everybody has either been hit by a pitch, walked, or reached on an error.
And now the first pitch to Parker Chavers is in there for a strike from Nick Stewart, who's out for his 2nd inning of work.
Chavers in this game, the only guy not to be retired via the strikeout in this entire lineup, top to bottom.
And that's a breaking ball missing up high. You have Chavers walking twice, and then popped out to short in the 5th. The lone Cotuit run coming back in the 3rd. And fouling that one off is Chavers, and he will fall behind 1 and 2.
And this is what Nick Stewart's done a pretty good job of so far, getting ahead of hitters, trying to stay ahead here and retire Parker Chavers.
Stewart struck out a pair of batters last inning, and that one will miss up and away.
I mean, it's not impossible at this point that the Mariners could get up to 100 strikeouts for the pitching corps. Before all is said and done here, they're only 4 away from that mark with 2 innings to go.
It's the Elon lefty Jared Weatherby warming in the pen, so he might be the one pitching in the 9th. Should it be a safe situation? There's strike 3. So now, out of the 4 batters he's faced, 3 of them have fanned, so a great start from Nick Stewart. 1 away here in the 8th.
Number 16, the first baseman from Belmont Abbey.
So now, that leaves... Actually, I believe every single starter for Cotuit has struck out in this game at some point in the inning, or at some point in the contest. I mean, a few of them were pinch hit for, but every single starter has now had a K written next to their name as the first pitch now to Mason Dodd is swung on a miss for strike 1.
Every single starter and 3 of the 4 pinch hitters. So only one guy has not struck out this entire game, and that one is Cameron Hill, who grounded out back in the back in the 7th.
There's a swing and a miss for strike two. I believe the pinch hitter Lopafito also reached on an error, and that was the only time. That was the only other position player that was not struck out in this one. 0-2, Stewart from the windup. And that one will just miss for ball one.
But again, getting ahead here, he starts him off 0-2. He's got a couple of pitches he can play with, and that's what makes Nick Stewart so dangerous. We'll see if he goes right at him here or tries to get him to chase something else. He's been pretty successful with that breaking ball low.
1-2 to Dodd. He swings and a miss for strike three, and that's 4 strikeouts now for Nick Stewart. And the second time Dodd has struck out in the contest, 2 away.
And just like that, 98 strikeouts on the year for Harwich pitching. They are closing in on being the first to the 100 mark.
So it'll be Matt Mervis, who has the lone RBI for Cotuit in this one. Grounded out to short in the first, walked home a run in the third, and he struck out swinging in the sixth. And the first pitch he looks at just misses.
Not a bad spot there, and that's kind of where we've seen Nick Stewart starting guys off. Stewart, another guy that can come in and eat up innings, already used as a starter one time this season.
Backdoor breaking ball in there to even the count. Mervis from Potomac, Maryland. And the 1-1 misses inside. So 2-1 the count. And once again, could be a combined no-hitter for the Mariners tonight. That ball will miss. It's 3-1.
Yep, the first guy we've seen Nick Stewart really fall behind here, and so far he's seen 5, he's retired 5, the last 4 of which in a row via the strikeout. Gonna have to be careful here with Matt Mervis, but you don't want to serve him up at softball.
3-1, and that one just misses for ball 4. So it's a 2-out walk for Mervis, the second time he's walked in this one, and that will bring up Joey Loparfido with a chance to try to tie things up with a ball in a gap.
Yep, Loparfido, one of just 2 guys who has not struck out today. He was able to reach on an error back in the 6th.
So coming into this game, Loparfido only had 1 at-bat and he struck out. So now he's 0 for 2 with reaching on an error. 2 at-bats so far with Cotuit. His first pitch is on the outside corner for a strike.
Yeah, we'll see Nick Stewart here for the first time coming out of the stretch, see if that affects anything in his delivery.
A win for the Kettleers would tie them for first. They're able to come back from this 2-1 deficit. That breaking ball, a good one, catches the outside corner, and now falling behind 0-2 is Loparfido.
Well, and for the Mariners, this would put them squarely in second place all on their own, right behind the Brewster Whitecaps. Jump them over YD, Chatham, and Orleans.
All 3 of those teams with 4 wins and a various number of losses and ties, given how well they've been able to avoid the rain. The difference maker, the pitch will miss in the dirt 1 and 2.
Well, and interestingly enough, Harwich, one of only 2 teams who has not gotten into a tie this season, the other being Bourne, but for Bourne, a little bit less impressive as they, well, haven't been playing baseball games for about a week now, it seems.
Field conditions being an issue over at Upper Cape Tech down in Bourne, right on the canal next to the Sagamore Bridge. The 1-2 just misses as Stewart thought he had strike 3, but instead there'll be a 2-ball, 2-strike count with 2 away in the inning.
Yeah, and you get the feeling probably going to see him break out the curveball here on a 2-2 count, keeping it low, but he's kind of set him up here with the fastball. We'll see if he comes back to it and gets him to swing over the top of a breaking ball.
Relatively aggressive lead from Mervis. He starts running and stops, and the pitch is fouled off. 2-2 offering, so they'll do it again.
Yep, and there it was, the curveball, but just able to get a piece of it. Was Lurfeed, so we'll do it again as you mentioned.
Approaching the 10 o'clock hour. Don't see that too often here at White House Field with most games starting at 6:30 and wrapping up well before then. The 2-2 pitch swung on and missed for strike 3, and now out of the 6 outs recorded by Nick Stewart, 5 of them were down via the K, and so through 8, Cotuit still without a hit, and they trail in this one to the Mariners by a score of 2-1. We'll bring you the bottom half of the 8th in just a second. You're listening to Harwich Mariners baseball here on YouTube Live.
We head to the home half of the 8th inning. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey bringing you coverage of Cape Cod baseball action. And I'd like to remind you that today's game is brought to you by Milton Cat. For sales and rentals of Caterpillar machinery, generators, and marine engines, visit MiltonCat.com. Your area cat dealer. Milton Cat, the Cape and Islands Caterpillar dealer, is proud to be a sponsor of today's game.
So this will close the book on Chris Holcomb, who pitched 3 shutout innings. That's now 4 shutout innings for Holcomb against the Harwich Mariners this year. And in to relieve him is Purdue's Matt Moore. Moore, another lefty, the second one in a row put out there by manager Mike Roberts. And so here in the bottom of the 8th, the Mariners will look to add some insurance going into the 9th. And if the bullpen is any sign of who's going to pitch the 9th for the Mariners, it'll probably be Jared Weatherby with the amount of lefties in this lineup for Cotuit.
You would think, but I mean, again, a couple of different options that they can go to, but they've got them on the ropes right now. Cotuit down to their final 3 strikes, or 3 outs, I should say.
So Matt Moore will be greeted by the middle of the lineup for the Harwich Mariners, 4, 5, and 6. Bobby Seymour, 1 for 3 on the day, will lead things off. Flew out to left in the first, singled in the 4th, and grounded out to first in the 6th. And the first pitch he sees misses in the dirt for ball 1.
So the first look here at Matt Moore, and you mentioned possibly brought in here to quell the lefties in the lineup for the Mariners. Seymour being the first of them. 1 for 3 today.
1-1, the 1-0 misses in the dirt to make it 2-0. Right now, the difference in this game being a run scoring on an error after Chris Lanzilli hit a ball hard short, and it was Cameron Williams unable to make the play, and that play did the go-ahead run, which was Daniel Cabrera. 2 balls, no strikes. Delivery from Moore, and a ground ball right to short. Now in the game is Oviedo. Throw on to first is in time, and Seymour is retired for out number 1.
Yep, so that'll bring up Cabrera, who, as you mentioned, represented the go-ahead run back in the 4th inning, was able to reach on a fielder's choice. Still 0 for 3 today, looking for his first hit as a Harwich Mariner, one of a couple of LSU Tigers making their debuts today.
Yeah, back in the 2nd inning, Cabrera led things off. He actually hit a ball pretty well to center field, but the wind, this was before the lightning delay, with the weather moving in, really knocked that ball down. Able to make the catch there was Dante Williams. But the lefty digs in, now 0 for 3 with a fielder's choice and a run scored. And the first pitch he sees from Moore misses outside.
So Moore being careful here, but again, just trying to continue this tradition of having a 1-run deficit to the Mariners through the bottom part of this game.
1-0. That's on the inside corner for a strike. Moore from Plainfield, Indiana, going to school in Purdue, so sticking around the state. Seems like a lot of guys from Indiana end up staying in the state. For example, Notre Dame's Nico Cavadas from Indiana. Granger, Indiana, as that pitch will miss to make it 2-1. Gordon Hayward, I believe, another who went to Butler, is from Indiana as well. That pitch is ripped foul right towards the Cotuit bullpen. What happens in Indiana stays in Indiana.
Apparently. It is a wild state, apparently.
Larry Bird, I think also grew up in Indiana, went to Indiana State, played for the Sycamores. Two will miss just outside, so now the count is full with the bases empty and one away to Cabrera. Had to double check, but yes, Larry Bird from West Baden Springs, Indiana.
West Baden Springs.
Swing and a miss for strike 3 as Cabrera waves at a pitch in the dirt. He's now 0 for 4 in his debut, and there are 2 away in the bottom of the 8th.
But that'll bring up Nico Cavadas, who today is 2 for 2, an RBI, a couple of base hits, and a walk. So he's reached on all 3 of his at-bats today. Kind of coming back into relevance here once again, and an opportunity with 2 outs to maybe help the Mariners get another insurance run.
Just to put it in perspective, the current population of the town that Larry Bird was born in, 574. First pitch is grounded to the first base side foul.
574 people. Sounds like one of the towns that made up my high school.
So 2 singles and a walk for Nico Cavadas in this one. Also drove in a run on that second hit. And he will take a pitch in there for a strike. 0-2.
Yep, and falling behind here is Nico Cavadas. Going to have to shorten up on the bat a little bit here. Facing off against a lefty, the third in the lineup to do so here in this inning.
0-2 misses well outside. That's where the catcher Kessler was set up. But Cavadas does not chase.
Yeah, I really thought Cavadas was going to bite on that. You got to bring it a little bit closer to the plate if you're going to have him even think about offering at it.
Nick Gonzalez playing pretty deep in the hole, almost on the outfield grass over at second base. And here's the 1-2. There's a ball sharply hit out towards right field. That's going to drop in, so it's a 3-hit game for Nico Cavadas, and he's on with 2 away here in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, at this rate, Cavadas going to be pretty darn close to doubling his hit total of the season. As you mentioned, coming into this game, I believe he had 4 hits, and he's going to come out of it with at least 7.
So, Chris Lanzilli trying to shake an 0 for 3 in this one. As he grounded into a double play in the second. Reached on an error that scored a run in the 4th, and he flew out to left in the 6th. First pitch by Moore is fouled straight back.
Not a bad pitch to try to jump on with the high fastball there, and this is actually the first righty into the lineup that'll face off against Matt Moore here.
Pitch black skies here at White House Field. So we are 5 minutes shy of the 10 o'clock mark. A broken bat, fly ball out towards shallow left, and charging and able to make the catch there is Hill to end the inning. Some decent power generated on a broken bat swing, but it's all for naught as that will retire the side. And through 8, the Mariners trying to go for the combined no-hitter as they lead 2-1. As we head to the 9th inning, you are listening and watching Harwich Mariners baseball here on the Mariners YouTube network. Here in the ninth inning from White House Field as the Harwich Mariners look to put a cap on this one. They lead 2-1 here in a nail-biter in which they have 7 hits, and Cotuit still looking for their first as we enter the final frame. And it'll be the 6, 7, and 8 hitters looking to change that for Cotuit. We have a defensive change to report as it is going to be Chris Galland playing left field instead of Chris Lanzilli in the ninth.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, while they haven't had a single hit in this game, they've gotten 8 guys on base, and they've even managed to score one, but still looking for their first base knock of the day.
So leading things off will be Adam Oviedo, the shortstop who came in to pinch hit for Cam Williams back in the 6th inning. He struck out swinging in his only appearance. And the first pitch by Stewart will miss low for ball 1.
In addition to having the first combined no-hitter of the year, another strikeout would put the Harwich total up to 100. First team in the league to reach that mark.
1-0, that's on the outside corner for a called strike. And Elon University's Jared Weatherby still warming in the pen in case Stewart gets into a little bit of trouble here in the ninth. But this would go into the books as a save for Stewart if he's able to pull it off, and it's a tough pitch to hit right there, an up and in fastball, and way late on it is Oviedo to fall behind 1-2. Oviedo digs back in. Stewart both heels on the rubber from the windup. The 1-2. Missing high.
This is probably the 4th or 5th time that we've seen Nick Stewart get himself into a 1-2 count. Turns to 2-2 here with that ball, but he's doing, again, just staying ahead, staying calm. Here we'll see if he goes right at him.
2-2 sharply hit into right field for a base hit, and that is the first hit for the Cotuit Kettleers, and they're celebrating like crazy in the bullpen out of sarcasm. But jokes aside, the tying run now on base to lead off the ninth inning.
Yeah, not the best start that you could have asked for there, and again, it was just a ball that was taken the other way. A pretty good piece of hitting there. Not a whole lot that Christian Fedko is going to be able to do about that, and that'll bring Dante Williams up to the plate.
So the tying run on first, the infield moves to double play depth, and Williams is 0 for 3 in this one with a couple of ground outs and a strikeout. So from the stretch, Stewart, first pitch and showing bunt there is Williams, but he pulls back in time for ball 1.
Yeah, and we'll see whether they're actually willing to play a little bit of small ball here. Wouldn't surprise me that much, but not something that a lot of people would expect. If you get one run, though, you can move on to a 10th and potentially decisive inning. At least bring the Mariners bats back up to bat here in the ninth.
Tyler Keenan well in on the grass over at third base, showing bunt again and getting a good one down for the sacrifice. Is Williams a high throw and able to reel it in as Cavadas. So the runner does move up with the first out, and now with a runner in scoring position, Cam Hill looking to try to tie things up for the Kettleers.
And that could have been an absolute nightmare. That was a good stretch there by Christian Fedko, able to make the grab. As tell you what, Nick Stewart just about put that ball into right field.
So here's Hill, who, as I said earlier in the broadcast, has a couple of hits against Harwich this year, both those coming against the first meeting between these two teams in Cotuit back on June 15th. And the first pitch to Hill catches the inside corner for a strike. Hill crowding the plate, so anything that appears really far inside is actually right in the corner.
I was going to say, he was backing out, but still well over the plate and getting ahead of another hitter here. It's Nick Stewart.
Stewart recollects himself. And with an 0-1 count from the stretch. The pitch. There's a high fly ball crossing into foul territory behind third. And oh wow, Keenan kind of stumbled over by the gravel area on the third base side, and the ball glances off his glove, and it's going to just be a foul ball with an 0-2 count.
That would have been a phenomenal catch had Tyler Keenan been able to secure it, but just unable to make the catch. And again, no no harm there, as it'll make it an 0-2 count here for Nick Stewart. But that would have been a heck of a catch if he had been able to locate it.
Catcher Colton Kessler on deck. We'll see if Hill's at least able to make it a productive second out to move the runner 90 feet more. A lot of space on the right side of the infield. The 0-2 from Stewart. Chopper right to second. This will get the runner over. Throwing on the run and getting the out is Fedko. And so the Mariners are 1 out away from securing their 5th win of the year. But that tying run over at third base and Colton Kessler at the plate.
Yep, and this is the biggest hit of the season, or the biggest AB of the season coming up here for Colton Kessler. As again, you mentioned 90 feet away from tying this up. He does represent the go-ahead run, should he get anything more than that.
Kessler's lone hit back on June 15th was a 2-run triple in the first inning to tie things up. So he's got a chance to tie it again here, but he waves the first pitch up high. Doesn't come close, and he falls behind 0-1.
Yeah, that triple gave him his only RBIs of the season, his only extra base hit of the season. He does have 3 regular hits on the year. Strikeout victim 10 times so far. Big step over there at third.
The 0-1 to Kessler. That'll miss a little bit high.
And you see Aravito over there on third getting a really big secondary lead. Kind of trying to mess with the timing a little bit of Nick Stewart, but he's going to have to be careful.
The 1-1 from the windup. Swing and a miss for strike 2. This game delayed from the start an hour, and then ended up being delayed another 45-50 minutes due to lightning. So the Mariners trying to win this marathon here, clinging to a 2-1 lead. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs from the windup. Stewart fouling it off and staying alive is Kessler.
Yep, Kessler will live to fight another day. Again, one of the team leaders in strikeouts on the season, 10 for him. Tied with Araja New in that category.
So back to the rubber is Stewart. Long look in. He starts his windup. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss for strike 3. And the Mariners pick up the victory. Final score in this one, 2-1 over Cotuit. The win's going to go to Will Heflin after an impressive performance coming out of the pen. 3 1/3 scoreless innings with 7 strikeouts. And the Mariners are back at 500 for the first time in quite some time on the season.
Yeah, it's been a while. It seems like it's been far too long. And, you know, they've been battling back all season long. Obviously, they brought it back within 500 against Bourne, but been a tough 3-game road stretch. They were losing 2 of those. They come back with the doubleheader against Falmouth. Finally, they're able to close it out here and get back to 500. More importantly, Colin, they take over second place in the league as nobody else was able to play today. So they're sitting in second place in the East behind the Brewster Whitecaps.
So once again, the Mariners pick up a 2-1 victory in a lengthy game against the Cotuit Kettleers at home. We'll wrap it up in just a minute, but once again, you have been listening and watching Harwich Mariners Baseball on YouTube Live. Welcome back one last time to White House Field as the Harwich Mariners get back to 500 at 5-5, picking up a 2-1 victory over the Cotuit Kettleers. And Tyler, they got some revenge after a tough loss earlier in the season back on June 15th, where they really looked out of sorts all day at the plate. They only picked up 2 runs in this game, but they were able to get 7 hits and draw some walks, so definitely a better performance offensively, and certainly on the mound in this one.
Well, it was a much different kind of game as they lost 7-5 in that one. It seemed like the offense was able to score more runs than they had previously in the season, but they come away with a 2-run loss, and then in this one, more of the kind of win we're used to seeing Harwich getting. It's a lot of long, grinding games where you're going to see a lot of good action out of the pitchers, and that's exactly what we got. Everybody looked phenomenal today, including Will Heflin, who basically came into what was essentially just a start, and then Nick Stewart coming in to slam the door shut. He picks up his first save of the season.
So with that win, the Mariners improved to 5-5 on the season. They find themselves 1 win back in the standings behind the Brewster Whitecaps, who were unable to complete a game today. And with the loss, Cotuit now drops to 4-4-1 on the season, and they are still second in the West in terms of win total. The win in this one goes to Will Heflin, who improves to 1-0 on the season. The loss to Joseph Nahas. Nahas giving up both the runs. One of them was earned, and he walked 1 and struck out 4. By the way, Heflin, once again with 3 1/3 out of the pen, didn't give up any hits, walked 3 and struck out 7 in the winning effort. The save in this one goes to Nick Stewart, and boy was he nails out of the bullpen as well, going 3 innings, giving up just the 1 hit, walked 1 and struck out 6 in just 3 innings of work. The Mariners with 2 runs on 7 hits, 1 error committed in the field, that one by Tyler Keenan. They left 8 on base. Cotuit with 1 run on just 1 hit coming in the 9th by Adam Oviedo. The Cotuit Kettleers also committing an error in that one that ended up proving to be the difference in the game, coming back in inning number 4. And they left on 8 in that one as well compared to Harwich's 8. So both teams leaving on a combined 16 runners in this game. And of course the Mariners and Kettleers, the only game that completed on the schedule in this one, as a lot of rain all across the Cape. And so Tyler, after a long wet day, the Mariners can go home with a big victory to put them back at 500. Definitely some momentum to take into these next 2 doubleheaders, one on Sunday, one on Tuesday.
Well, and a lot of momentum to go up against one of the teams that is just struggling this season. Tomorrow we will be at Hyannis. They will come into that game at 0-7-1, so a big opportunity for the Mariners to continue to press their advantage.
Yeah, and with this doubleheader, the Mariners could potentially find themselves with the most wins out of anyone in the East this time tomorrow. But once again, the final score in this one, Harwich 2, Cotuit 1. For all of us here with the Harwich Mariners broadcast team, alongside my broadcast partner, Tyler Henry, with our producer, Matt Lucy, I'm Colin Casey. Thanks for tuning in for another edition of Harwich Mariners Baseball as you've been watching here on the Mariners YouTube Live Network. So long, and we will see you tomorrow from Hyannis.